The miracle at Lake Placid. Who could ever forget? Certainly not the New York Rangers, who decided that Olympic head coach Herb Brooks and his then assistant Craig Patrick would be an instant hit on Broadway. Brooks as coach and Patrick as general manager. So what if their roles were reversed? The Rangers hierarchy was convinced this was the winning ticket for New York. But in the fourth year of their plan to bring a championship to Manhattan, Herb Brooks, Craig Patrick, and the New York Rangers decided the long ride from Lake Placid had come to a screeching halt.
Herb never indicated to me that he didn't like working for me because I worked with him before. So I'm not sure it created any problems for Herb either. There's been a lot of things printed or said across the air that, that indicated that we might have had some problems, but I think we just had normal GM-coach relationship that any GM and coach would have, and I don't think our past relationship hurt us in any way.
So tonight at Madison Square Garden, it is Patrick behind the bench to continue the quest of Herb Brooks as the New York Rangers take on the Minnesota North Stars. It's next. It's live on USA. The NHL on USA is brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste. Stroh's, official sponsors of the National Hockey League. By Toyota's exciting cars and trucks for 1985. Toyota invites you to see them at your local dealer. By Mobile Super Unleaded, higher octane for better performance. And by Chevy, who invites you to see today's Chevy. Drive today's Chevy. Live today's Chevy. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig in New York. This New York Rangers story really won out of the "what have you done for me lately" department. Herb Brooks coming into New York and really putting some optimism in the hearts of the New York Ranger fans who have longed for the Stanley Cup for so long. But the Rangers for this season, well, it was just too much for them to take. They're battling the Pittsburgh Penguins for the fourth and final playoff spot, and finally a change had to be made. So Craig Patrick, who once filled in behind the Rangers bench when Fred Shero was now back behind the bench once again, replacing the man he once hired to be this Ranger coach of this team that is struggling this season. Let's take a look at the Patrick Division standings and show you what we mean as far as the Rangers' dismal play so far. Washington now with a win today, 7 points in front of Philadelphia, who lost. The Islanders in third, and there it is, Pittsburgh, the Rangers, and New Jersey all tight for that fourth and final playoff spot. The Minnesota North Stars, a team of similarities. They can feel for this Ranger team and feel for themselves. They're battling with Detroit. They tied them yesterday for that fourth and final spot in the Norris Division, with St. Louis, Chicago battling up for the spots numbers 1 and 2. Upstairs in the booth for us tonight, and I mean high above the Madison Square Garden ice, are Dan Kelly and Gary Green.
Al Trudwick, you used the word similarities, and these teams are similar this year. First, both teams have made coaching changes. Secondly, both teams have been major disappointments this year. And thirdly, both teams have been racked by injuries. But Gary, aside from the injuries and aside from other things, what's been wrong with these two teams? Both were expected to be much better.
Interesting, when we talked to both coaches before tonight's game, there is also another similarity, Dan, and that is that they feel that both clubs have not performed up to expectations, even with the players they have had. They have not given the effort that they're expected to give. And Craig Patrick, I think, hit the nail on the head. He said oftentimes when things are not going well for you as a player, you think you're working hard, but you're really not. So the last couple of games, the Rangers have worked hard. But that usually happens, Dan, when a coaching change takes place. It's the long run that we have to take a better look at.
And Glenn Sonmore told us pretty much the same thing. Work harder and you'll be more successful. For a fourth similarity then, Al, lack of effort both the North Stars and the Rangers this year.
And Dan, everyone wants to know, where's Herb Brooks going? Well, the rumor mill has it that he'll wind up being the coach of the Minnesota North Stars, but that's another story on another day. The National Hockey League on USA is brought to you by Dodge, the official cars of the National Hockey League. And so tonight from 33rd Street and 8th Avenue, it's the Minnesota North Stars and the New York Rangers live coast to coast. We'll be back right after this.
Presenting beauty in motion, the Dodge Lancer. Its fluid lines are graceful, captivating. Its sleek body glides through the wind. Dodge Lancer, with room, space, and virtually every electronic convenience available. And Lancer has a fuel-injected engine with optional turbocharger, so you'll know what to expect. Great performance.
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we going to do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases.
Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
On the next, Chase. There's plenty of hard-hitting action as the Chase team infiltrates pro football to investigate alleged game fixing by the mob. Don't miss the high drama on Chase, part of USA's Crime Busters, at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, Tuesday. Book it.
We're back live at Madison Square Garden in the Big Apple, New York. And it's the Rangers and the North Stars. Tonight in the NHL, other games, Quebec plays at Buffalo, and the Toronto Maple Leafs will play the Hawks at Chicago Stadium. And there were 3 afternoon games today. Mike Gartner had a pair of goals as Washington defeated the Islanders 7-2. Boston over Hartford, doubling the score 8-4. And Winnipeg on the road upset Philadelphia 6-2. So those are the afternoon games. And Washington, the first score, 5-2 winners over the Islanders. So we await the start of this game between the Rangers and Minnesota. Earlier this year, these two teams met, and Minnesota won both meetings, but it was way back in October, and both were by identical 3-1 scores. Al Trudwick pointed out the importance of the game and the standings for the respective teams, and Gary, the coaches from both teams told us pretty much the same thing. They want a little bit of E for effort.
Well, if the coaches get what they want, Dan, then we should be treated to a pretty good hockey game here tonight. The Rangers, in the 2 games that Craig Patrick has coached behind the bench, he feels have given an excellent effort. Let's see what they can do tonight.
Now the teams line up at their respective blue lines here at Madison Square Garden, and we are ready for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, but the rockets reflect the bursting deep through the night, but unlike us still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the
Mark Pavelic's a pretty good singer as he sings along with the national anthem. We're ready for this game at Madison Square Garden. The referee is Mike Nyr. The 2 linesmen for this game, Ron Foyt and Dan McCourt. So that's the officiating crew. The starting goaltender for Minnesota, Rolly Melanson, the former Islander, or the former Islander goalie. 11 games, 3-5-2 is one loss record, 4.16 is goal against average. And Glenn Hanlon at the other end, 25 games this year for the Rangers, 7-12-5, and a 4.02 goals against average. Mike Noah, the referee, is ready to drop the puck, and we're ready for this game at Madison Square Garden. Third and final meeting of the regular season between the Rangers and the North Stars. And stepping in to take the face-off, Keith Acton of Minnesota, number 12, against Robbie Fedoruk. The North Stars in their away green uniforms, and the Rangers in their home white with the red and blue trim. This is Barry Beck for New York. Firing it to Nick Fotillo. Belichick checked him. Keith Acton held it in, and Hanlon makes the save on that. Now into the corner of Steve Payne for Minnesota. He's ridden out by the Rangers. Fedoruk. Payne continues the battle, gets it to Acton, shot right on, rebound, and Payne couldn't handle it. And Anders Hedberg flips it to Fotillo. Long shot by Fotillo off Melanson's shoulder, and then grabbed by the former Islander who came to Minnesota earlier this year in a trade for a number 1 draft choice.
Well, when you look behind the bench of the Minnesota North Stars, Glenn Sonmore and his very energetic and enthusiastic approach behind the bench, you can well understand why he wants more effort, as does this man here, Craig Patrick, taken over for Herb Brooks.
Face-off is going to be deep in the Minnesota zone. No score. We're in the first minute of this game. The Rangers get the draw back to James Patrick at the point. It's blocked. And now Minnesota coming back. Cicerelli trying to flip it through. Patrick knocked it down. Now taken by Broughton. Back to Gordy Roberts. A shot. And a stick save by Hanlon there. Now Patrick trying to clear it up. Held in by Roberts. And again the shot turned aside by Hanlon. Cicerelli to Ken Solheim, number 31. Centered it, but intercepting it is Mike Rogers. And back come the Rangers. Rogers, number 17, going wide. Backhander, Melanson the save, and he smothers the rebound. He wasn't quite sure what to do with it for the moment, but a good effort by number 17, Mike Rogers.
Well, Rogers did get a good scoring chance here. Rogers, Pavlich, and Ruotsalainen combining to make a pretty small forward line, but yet all three possess great agility, tremendous skills, and right here you can see Melanson covering up that puck. Melanson has not been the happiest goaltender necessarily since coming over to Minnesota, and likewise from management's point, they expected much more from Rolly the goalie, and so far Melanson has had a fairly shaky start.
Here's a quick shot from the faceoff by the Rangers' Randy Heath. Wide of the net, and now Tony McKegney for Minnesota clears it down the ice. The Rangers, Steve Richmond, number 41, back to get it. Cleared it to LaRouche, now out onto the wing, and here come the Rangers with an attack and a centering pass that is stopped by Melanson as it was flipped in front by Mike Blaisdell, number 18. Blaisdell just up from the New Haven Farm Club in the American League. And we talked about the injuries to both of these teams. The Rangers still wrecked, and just as an example, tonight in the warm-up, Brian Bellows pulled a thigh muscle. He was supposed to play and now can't play, and the North Stars, as a result, are short a man because of that late scratch because of the thigh injury to Bellows. That's the way it's been going for both of these teams. Here's Ledyard at the point, a shot wide. Melanson clearing that, and McKegney pokes it into the center ice area. Knocked down there and taken by Grant Ledyard, number 30. Ledyard firing one high up over the glass into the crowd. And the faceoff will be just inside the Minnesota blue line. Grant Ledyard, his dad, used to be a quarterback in Canadian football with the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But the young son, Grant, has become a hockey player.
Well, he's turned out to be not too bad of a one as well, Dan. They brought him up because of injuries, but yet Grant Ledyard has stayed here. 6'2", 190-pounder that signed as a free agent back in '82. He has found himself a home for the time being. As long as he continues to play well, they need a big aggressive defenseman back behind the blue line.
Here's Kurt Giles for Minnesota, clearing it to Keith Acton, number 12. Acton for the North Stars, moving in. He's tied up by Beck. Barry Beck and Acton jam up on the boards and hold it there. And we'll get a stoppage and another face-off, this time just inside the Ranger blue line.
Talking about aggressive blue liners, Randy Velishek from the Minnesota North Stars. And when you look at the North Stars defense right now, they can well be pleased that Craig Hartsburg is back in the lineup. That tends to take a little bit of pressure off of players like Velishek. Giles has been their best back behind the blue line for the year so far.
And he's been teamed up for the most part with Randy Velishek, and that's been the best tandem that the North Stars have had. Here is Patrick Peter Sundstrom shooting it in for the Rangers. Back is Acton to Steve Payne, number 44. Payne is checked at Erickson for the Rangers, clearing it in behind the goal. Chris Contos couldn't handle it, and it's taken by Giles. Fired up the middle to Acton, over on the wing to Payne, but back is Bob Brook. Brook headmanning it to Contos, number 23. Contos, quick wrist shot, Melanson the save, and he smothers the rebound, and we'll get a face-off in the Minnesota zone. For our local systems, we'll pause here. USA Sports is bringing you the National Hockey League.
Tom Berenger is Bobby Fallon. Suzanne Plachette is Kate, his mother. He fights for dignity.
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
For respect.
You're going to let me be a fighter, or you're going to have to throw me out of here.
And for the beauty.
The money's important, but you just don't do it for the money. You do it for the beauty.
His hardest battle is to break the forbidden ties of flesh and blood.
Kate, you belong to me.
A two-part USA Premier event tomorrow and Tuesday.
No score in this game. 17 minutes, 14 seconds left here in the first period. And a face-off coming up in the Minnesota zone. Both teams starting it out rather tentatively, Gary Green.
We haven't quite seen that intensity level that one would have expected, especially out of the Rangers here in their own building tonight.
Here's Dreschner with a drive from the point. Gordy Roberts gets it after Dreschner's shot was wide, and Roberts feeds it over to Bob Reltz. The North Stars carry in. Here is the chance for Broughton, and Broughton poke checked by James Patrick. Broughton on the board, dropping it back, and a shot right on target off the Ranger goalie Hanlon stick, and now we'll get a penalty as Ciccarelli is upended by Robbie Fedoruk. And Fedoruk, who's now an assistant coach under Craig Patrick, will go to the penalty box, and Minnesota will get a power play chance here. No score in this game. We'll return to Madison Square Garden right after this pause.
When they put a heavy load on your shoulders, there's nothing like having a friend you can count on. The new Toyota electronically fuel-injected one-ton truck. It'll carry over 2,500 pounds. And with an optional towing package, you can pull up to 5,000 pounds. The Toyota one-ton truck.
Thanks, old buddy.
Robbie Fedoruk in the penalty box for the Rangers. 2 minutes for holding was the call. 3:11 was the time, and this sets up an opportunity for the North Stars on the power play.
Minnesota with a forward alignment of Maruk, McKegney, and Fleck back to the point to Kurt Giles. He and Hartsburg are the point men. Minnesota unable to center it. McKegney out trying to get it. It comes to Hartsburg, number 4. Hartsburg, a key man, just back in the lineup after injuries. Lets a shot go, and that's off a stick and over the glass into the crowd. And they can use this guy, Craig Hartsburg, the Minnesota team captain, who's been racked by injuries the last couple of years.
Especially on the power play, Dan. Craig Hartsburg is an excellent defenseman, both ends of the rink. But on the power play, the North Stars have usually excelled. This year, they are only 10th best in the league, 22.5 percentage. And they've got their problems right now up against the Rangers. The Rangers have got the best penalty killing record in the whole NHL.
But it hasn't helped the Rangers much, and you think a statistic like that would. Here's Giles to McKegney. Dropping it back to Giles to McKegney again. McKegney into the corner to Maruk, back to number 25, McKegney. The Giles at the point, shooting. And Hanlon a stick save on that. And the Rangers come out of there and shoot it to the Minnesota blue line. Rutsalainen in the forecheck. The North Stars come back with Giles feeding it to Fleck. Now to Maruk, number 9, but Richmond breaks it up, and Rutsalainen took his pass, but it was a hand pass, and thus play is called back. I thought that Craig Patrick's comments about Rayo Ruotsalainen before the game were very interesting.
Well, they were in the respect, Dan, that Ruotsalainen is a very good player both up front and back.
Face-off is going to be at the Ranger blue line. 16:02 left in the first period. No score. Meanwhile, a minute 10 left in the penalty as Gordy Roberts shoots it in for Minnesota. Bob Brook back to get it. And Brook, who's been converted to a defenseman since Craig Patrick went behind the bench, clears it down the ice. Brook, meanwhile, did play defense with the United States Olympic team a year ago. Here is Broughton out of his own zone. Broughton into Cicerelli. Back to Broughton. Centered it out in front. Big save by Hanlon on Steve Payne, and what a save that was. I thought Payne had scored for sure.
You really have to have excellent reflexes to move from the left to the right as Hanlon does in this situation. Watch Hanlon. Neat little pass by number 7 Broughton over to Payne. Now in most cases that is a sure goal. But Glenn Hanlon was able to just slide his feet up and able to take that puck right away from Steve Payne, robbing the North Stars of a goal.
Gary, you made the point he slid from left to right. Is that more difficult for a goalie than going from right to left? I would think it wouldn't be.
Well, I think right here with Hanlon being a right-hand glove man, it does make it a little bit more difficult.
Here's Payne now trying to shoot it in. Cicerelli tried to hold it in. Roberts on the point, clearing it to Cicerelli. Cicerelli checked on the play, and the Rangers, Anders Hedberg, who's also just back in the lineup after a siege with an eye injury, cleared it down the ice. The North Stars coming back. 12 seconds left in the Rangers penalty. Broughton moving it. Now Hedberg able to clear it out again. And Hartsburg knocks it down at center ice. Hartsburg is Fatorik. Now is back on the ice. Here's a drive by McKechnie for Minnesota. Hanlon the save on the short side. And now Fatorik starts back. Fatorik, number 8, trying to flip it in. Does to Eriksson. Eriksson in front, but cleared away by Giles. And the North Stars come right back the other way, led by McKechnie. His shot right on. Hanlon the save. Loose in front. A glove save on McKechnie's rebound. And then Hanlon had to dive out and get it. And another excellent reflex save there by Glenn Hanlon.
It really was. And the play of Tony McKechnie for the North Stars, that shift was something else. McKechnie in there on a couple of good chances. There Hanlon makes the initial save. Fatorik missed the rebound, which he should have been responsible for clearing. McKechnie came zipping in there, grabbed the puck, and he was almost back in there for another whack at it. Glenn Hanlon really looking quick tonight.
No score in this game. The penalty to Fatorik has expired. So the team's at full strength as Chris Contos takes this face-off against Baruch. The North Stars got it. And Roberts at the point shooting. Oh, and that was just about tipped in by Baruch. Back comes Eriksson trying to clear it in. Broken up by McKechnie. Now the Rangers get it again. And it's carried in by Ledyard. Shoots one. Lost it to his knees to stop that. And then Rels clears it to center for Baruch. Dennis Baruch around the defense and Andoni scores! Oh, Baruch really gave the defenseman Richmond the oopsie-doo and beat him and then blasted it by Hanlon.
Well, I can't believe that Dennis Baruch, nor can he, had that much room. Watch the play here. Dan mentioned it. Richmond came at him and then just lost him totally. Baruch just winding up with that big shot. And Baruch, you give him that much room, and I think that he is going to put it home majority of the cases. I'm not sure that might not. That may not have been Richmond.
Here's Gressner trying to clear it in on right wing. The Rangers come back, a shot. They score! Mike Blaisdell comes right back the other way and blasts it in, and this game is tied 1-1.
Now that really angers any coach whose team had just scored. Glenn Somnor not very pleased at all. Watch the move Gressner makes here. Just a little quick pass. But so soon the Rangers come back. Blaisdell winding up. He's got a good hard shot. I believe Melanson was screened on that play. It may have gone off.
Well, Kurt Giles went down to block it. And when you do that, you better block it because you take the view of the puck away from the goalie.
I thought the puck may have even hit Giles and gone up into the corner.
It's 1-1 as now Acton speeds in on left wing. Keith Acton drops it to Giles, who couldn't hold it in. And Randy Belichick, number 6, back for Minnesota. He's checked, and here is LaRouche, but we'll get a penalty on the play to the Rangers' Blaisdell. And a stoppage in play coming up and a penalty. Oh, no penalty call. They just called it an offside. I'm sorry. Let's recap those quick scoring plays. 6:02. Well, let's look at it again as Blaisdell blasted it.
Difficult to tell, but as Dan had indicated, Giles did go down to block it. And as a defenseman, if you're going to go down to block it, you better make sure that you get it all, because if you only get a piece of it, that only causes havoc for your goaltender.
Marouk gave Minnesota a lead with his 11th of the year from Rouse at 6:02. Just 14 seconds later, Blaisdell is first of the year from Breshner and Heath at 6:16 to tie it. Here's Harold Snepps clearing one in for Solheim. Now back is Bob Brook. Brook shooting it off the boards for Rogers. Rogers now to Mark Pavelich, getting it in across the line. Pavelich taken up by Snepps, and it's taken by Broughton for Minnesota. Broughton trying to clear it, but Beck had stepped into Cicerelli to break that up. Puck goes down the ice with Brook, number 13, back to pick it up. Bob Brook clearing one off the boards. Into the center ice area, going back is Hartsburg, trying to get away from Rusalina. Hartsburg over to Snepps, back to Hartsburg. And Hartsburg clears it to center for Neil Broughton. Broughton tried to give it to Cicerelli. It was intercepted, and Mike Rogers for the Rangers to Barry Beck. Here's Beck dumping it in. Willie Flint back to clear it on the boards. And the North Stars drop it back to their net. Hartsburg now over to McKechnie. Here's McKechnie coming back for Minnesota. Glenn Sonmore says he's been among his best since being acquired from Quebec. A long shot wide of the target. Now McKechnie back of the net. Knocked down on the play. McKechnie trying to center, and Ledyard has it for New York. Ledyard comes up with the puck, failed to clear it, now gets it again. Number 30, the rookie Grant Ledyard. Long pass, but intercepted by Gord Roberts. And back come the North Stars. Hamlin out of the net to clear that away. Now Payne shooting it back to the goal. And it is taken by Ledyard, losing it. A backhander, Hamlin the save. Another shot, they score! On the rebound, no goal! No goal, it was underneath Hamlin, my mistake. I thought they had put it up over the fallen goalie into the net, but apparently not.
Dan, the reason I had thought it was as well because of the fact that Marouk's wingers both had their arms up in the air. Watch Marouk. He got the first shot away. But that puck did not go in.
But it hit the defenseman who was backing him up.
Well, they definitely thought at the time, the North Stars that is, that they did score. Meanwhile, Ledyard
Richmond was the defenseman behind him.
Richmond and Ledyard have had a tough time tonight. On that first goal, they were responsible for letting Marouk actually walk right in, and this time Ledyard gave up the puck totally to Marouk. I would maybe guess that Craig Patrick may be changing his defensive positions around here when Dennis Marouk and that line of McKechnie and Pletter on the ice.
Ledyard coughed it up, but Richmond saved the day by getting in behind the goaltender Hamlin. And stopping one that got by Hamlin. Puck is loose on the boards in the Ranger zone. Payne trying to center it. Puck is still loose on the boards as players from both teams grapple for it. Now back to the goal into the other corner, and Minnesota trying to center. Puck is centered out in front. And it's taken by the Rangers, and back they come with Erickson clearing it to the line. Loose puck as Minnesota move in on the attack. It's centered out in front and broken up, in Minnesota drop it back to the point. It's held in by Giles. Now centered by Minnesota, but intercepting it is number 23, Contos, and he cleared it over the glass into the crowd. For our local systems, we'll pause here. It's the NHL on USA.
You know, the business world moves fast. I've found only one publication keeps pace with it every business day. Only this, the Wall Street Journal. Not weekly, not bi-weekly, today's business news today. So you can use it today.
Get the next 6 months of the Wall Street Journal delivered for just $56, only 44 cents a day. To order, phone 800-527-9800. That's 6 months over 125 issues for just $56. Phone 800-527-9800 today.
Greg Patrick, who's now not only the general manager, but the coach of the Rangers. And by the way, since going behind the bench, Greg has seen his team win one and lose one. Pierre LaRouche, they'd like some more production out of LaRouche in the stretch drive here after a big year last season. Here's Brook for New York, trying to clear one ahead for Randy Heath, who knocked it down, couldn't hold it in. Rangers reorganize again off of Heath's skate into the Minnesota zone, and back to get it is Scott Bukestad, the rookie. Bukestad trying to clear it. Cicerelli now tied up by 2 Rangers on boards. And Minnesota come up with it, and Hartsburg carries out of his own zone. He gives it to Broughton, who dumps it in, but shot it up too high, and it goes up into the crowd.
We're talking about offense, about abilities to put the puck in the net. Pierre LaRouche has not done that very well for the North Stars, but Broughton has had a tough time for Minnesota this year so far. They have not got one player on the North Stars other than Tony McKegney with 20 goals, and we are well past the halfway mark. And in essence, that would mean that they would not have a 40-goal scorer, Dan, and that is very unlike the Minnesota North Stars.
Mr. Gretzky already has 51. Here is Heath, the Ranger rookie. Tied up by Hartsburg, and then Marouk clears it around in the boards to McKegney. And Harold Steps carries out for Minnesota. Got the center, now to Hartsburg. Hartsburg in on the wing to McKegney. Shoots! He hit the outside of the goal post with that drive. And now it is Bob Brooks, the rookie out of Yale for the Rangers. Brooks, who's been converted back to defense after being a forward for the most part of the early season. Now tied up by Flett on the play. In there as well for the Rangers is Randy Heath. And we got a stoppage in play and a face-off in the New York zone.
Well, and continuing that conversation about lack of offense, we mentioned the North Stars, but the Rangers as well. And again, a similarity. The Rangers have not got a 20-goal man. The closest they come is Pierre LaRouche and Thomas Sandstrom that have both 17 goals, and that is a long ways. But this man here, Tony McKegney, has been the North Stars' best player, and he has got 20 goals for the North Stars, but a lot of them were with Quebec Nordiques.
Here's a face-off coming up in the Rangers zone. A 1-1 game. We have 9:37 left in the first period. 2 teams that have struggled this year trying to get something going. Now McKegney passing it over for Rouse. He's checked, and back comes Rogers for New York. Rogers trying to center, dropping it back. And Ruotsalinen's shot was a weak one. It was blocked, and Minnesota come back. Here's number 24, Willie Flett with a long shot wide of the net. Minnesota attempting to hold it in into the corner to McKegney. Now to Flett. Flett gets help from McKegney. It's cleared out onto the boards to Roberts. Centered to Marouk. Turns, shoots. That hit Richmond, and then it's cleared away by Ledyard. McKegney is there, and Ledyard loses to Willie Flett. Flett back to Roberts, who couldn't hold it in at the point. And when he does shoot it in, the Rangers shoot it right back out. And it's shot back in again by Marouk, and it's offside. And we get a stoppage in play. From Madison Square Garden in New York, you're watching the NHL on USA.
Got me a case of the 501 blues, here from my waist right down to my shoes. You ain't got it, not like me. It's my strength to fit, permanent identity. Ah, 501 blues, legendary 501 blues.
Eight minutes, 45 seconds left here in the first period. No sign of either of these clubs really turning it on so far.
There's a lack of hitting going on out there, Dan, and if you're going to have effort, that means playing the body, doing the work in the corners and along the boards, and we haven't seen much of that so far.
Here is Kurt Giles for Minnesota. Nick Portillo, who knows how to hit. In there to forecheck, gets the puck to Patorek. Now into the corner to Anders Hedberg. Hedberg unable to center it. Gressner is in for New York. Gressner out in front, hit the side of the net with that shot. And the Rangers trying to work it free from behind the net. Hedberg gets help from Gressner, but as he centered it, Gord Sherman, the latest addition to the North Stars, cleared it out. Now Hedberg, number 15. Hedberg clearing one. It comes to the Minnesota line. Taken there by Giles. He tried to shoot it in, broken up, and coming back is Gressner for New York. Gressner centered to Patorek, a low shot, just wide. Now the rookie defenseman James Patrick gets it to Hedberg in the corner. Belichick is there for Minnesota, and Portillo comes crashing into Belichick, and that stops play. You're talking about throwing bodies around. Number 22, Nick Portillo, knows how to do that.
Well, you had no sooner said that Portillo has that ability than he ended up giving a good, solid, stiff body check in the corner. That's what the Rangers need, and they need more of it, as every team does, Dan. Coaches want to see their players playing aggressively, and that means taking the man out in the corners and in front of the net, doing your job, being persistent. Giles having a problem there, moving Portillo out of front of the net. Anyone does with Portillo.
And right from the faceoff, we'll get a penalty call here. The North Stars got possession, but a penalty is called, and I believe it's against Bo Berglund of the North Stars. For our local systems, we'll pause here. USA is bringing you the NHL.
USA premier event with rock superstar Kenny Loggins in concert. Kenny Loggins in concert, a USA premier event. At 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on USA tomorrow.
Bo Berglund for Minnesota getting the tripping penalty. 12:19 is the time. The Rangers on the power play.
A 1-1 game. New York with the man advantage as James Patrick feeds it into Hedberg. Now another penalty coming up to Minnesota. The late penalty call is now Patrick trying to give the puck away. And finally Roberts gets it, and now another penalty against Minnesota. And the North Stars will be 2 men short. Mike Noah, the young referee, sending another North Star out, much to the chagrin of Glenn Sonmore, and it is the rookie Bob Rouse, so Minnesota will be 2 men short.
That makes things pretty difficult for the North Stars. Penalty killing wise this year, they are only 17th best in the NHL. Mind you, the Rangers only have a 13th best in the power play department, but it's going to be much easier when you look at 5 skaters to 3 out there and the face-off coming up in Minnesota's end.
So 1:47 left in Berglund's penalty, and now Rouse is off for tripping. And the Rangers with a 2-man edge. From the face-off, it is Patrick, number 3. Over to Beck. Beck lines up, shoots one wide of the net. Into the corner after LaRouche, back to Beck. Takes the shot. Fired it behind the goal. Roberts is there to clear it. Keith Atkins shot it. It's knocked down by Contos for New York. Back to Beck. Beck takes the shot and then hit Kurt Giles with it. Comes to Chris Contos. Into Hedberg. Dropping it back, but a poor pass. Intercepted and cleared, and now Atkins breaks away for Minnesota, and he's pulled out. And James Patrick will get a penalty. So there goes the 2-man advantage the Rangers had, because the rookie James Patrick gets a tripping penalty, and now it will be only a 4-against-3 power play.
Well, it was pretty close. Had James Patrick taken about 1 more stride and Keith Acton not quite as good on the penalty drawing department, then it may have been even Steven, but Patrick getting a 2-minute penalty.
I was going to say the only mistake Patrick made was putting the stick on the wrong guy. Keith Acton can take those dives pretty well. Didn't you teach him that?
And very, very well, as you can see. I think
9.9.
Acton would have gone down had the stick been there or not, Dan.
Is that the kind of stuff you teach at your hockey schools?
No, not at all. But Keith Acton has got the speed that he could have well broken away. But I think he saw Beck on one side and Patrick on the other.
So now, after the slashing penalty to Patrick, they call it, 13:05 the time. Only a 4-against-3 power play for New York as the Rangers move it in. Here's Mark Pavelich at the point. Over to the other point. Back to Pavelich it comes. Shot blocked by Giles, who came diving out. And then it's cleared by Broughton over the glass and into the crowd.
Pavelich, one of the many Rangers that has suffered injuries this year and is trying to salvage the remainder of the season. And they need this small but very aggressive, skillful center iceman to lead the way for them.
Here's Ruotsalainen at the right point. Feeding it in to Rogers. Remember, it's still a 4-against-3 power play for the Rangers. Ruotsalainen to Rogers. Back to Reijo Ruotsalainen. Shot, Melanson the save. Rebound. Hooked wide by the rookie Ledger. Now it comes back to Ruotsalainen again. Over onto the wing. Back to Ruotsalainen with a drive high. And Belichick has it for Minnesota. Randy Belichick doing a good job and now clears it out on left wing. And Giles carries out for the North Stars. Giles says, if you're not going to check me, I'll keep the puck. He slowed it down to a walk and then just slid it into the Rangers zone. Back comes Ruotsalainen to Rogers. Back to Ruotsalainen. Centering to Ledger. And out of the penalty box and knocking it away was Bo Berglund, who just got out of that penalty box in time. Back comes Pavelich. Trying to flip it through. Acton knocks it away. Now Keith Acton for Minnesota. Couldn't get cross center. Puck taken by Roberts and the North Stars, who have a brief power play. Now move in with Craig Hartsburg. Dropping it to Payne. Payne shooting it back to the goal. And Beck gets it for New York and tries to shoot it out of there. Does get it on the left wing side, and Peter Sundstrom shoots it down the ice. Just 9 seconds left in the other penalty to James Patrick of New York. Here's Keith Acton. Minnesota on the attack. Acton to Roberts as Patrick is back on. It's centered to Payne. Erickson tied him up. Shot turned aside by Hamlin. And the Rangers get control, and back they come, led by number 13, Bob Brook. Brook couldn't get around Gordy Roberts, and Minnesota clear up the center. Marouk giving it to Gord Sherman. Back to Marouk to Sherman. And he's checked in front of the net before he could get a stick on it. And back comes Sundstrom for the Rangers. Jumping it in. LaRouche in with a shot. And Melanson came out to stop that. And now Minnesota with Sherman, recently acquired from the Edmonton Oilers, into Marouk. Getting it in front to McKechnie, who panned on the shot. Now McKechnie centered. The Rangers intercept, and it's cleared to center ice. Belichick loses it to LaRouche, who's in the clear. And mishandled the puck as he went to get the shot away and then tumbled into the boards. And it's shaken up. From coast to coast in all 50 states, it's the NHL on USA.
When it comes to getting to the high ground, there's nothing like having a faithful companion. The new Toyota 4x4 SR5 Extra Cab, powering you to the top with a new electronically fuel-injected engine that supplies this truck with more horsepower than any other in its class. The new Toyota 4x4.
Now this is a friend forever.
4:01 left here in the first period. Still Minnesota won, the Rangers won. All the penalties have expired, and neither team showed much on their power play.
Well, one thing that has improved in the last few shifts, Dan, the skating has been much better. And if you're not going to play an aggressive hitting game, then play a good hard skating game. Both these teams are very capable of that.
Here's a loose puck taken back to the Ranger goal by Randy Heath. Heath having difficulty, now gets some help. Heath now shooting it off the boards, but it's held in by Rouse at the point. His shot into the corner, and Heath starts back again, but now over in the far corner, a penalty called against the Rangers. And New York will be shorthanded again. It is the rookie Ledyard who caught the eye of the referee, Mike Nyr.
Ledyard pulled down Dennis Maruk. And Maruk is very capable, as is Keith Acton, of drawing a lot of penalties for the North Stars. And watch this one. That was a pretty good call, though. Ledyard just took that left hand of his, put it on Maruk's shoulder, gave it a little tug, and that was enough to send Dennis Maruk down and grant Ledyard to the penalty box.
16:26 the time, holding the call. And Craig Patrick will see his team play shorthanded now. A 1-1 game as Minnesota gears up its power play. Earlier in the year, Glenn Sonmore said the power play was the only thing that was really getting them some goals, and even that's cooled off of late. Should be helped by Hartsburg's return, though. Hartsburg feeding to Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli behind the net to Payne. Steve Payne trying to center to Broughton. Back on the point, now to Giles. Back to Neil Broughton. To Giles again. Giles shooting one. That hit back. Bounces away to Ciccarelli. Dino Ciccarelli back on the point. Hartsburg with a drive. And he fired that wide. And now it is Broughton to Hartsburg again. Shooting one. Stick save by Hanlon. Rebound. And Hanlon able to cover up on it with Payne and Broughton both banging away at that loose puck.
With Ciccarelli, Payne, and Broughton out there, along with Giles and Hartsburg, the North Stars should have an excellent power play percentage. They can move the puck around well. They can all shoot. We're seeing that happen right here. Broughton is quick, looking for those rebounds. Ciccarelli is excellent close in. And Payne has got that long reach in front. The one thing I have noticed, Dan, is that the North Stars are tending to congregate a little bit more around the net while they have possession, and the North Stars in the past have always spread out and moved the puck around extremely quickly.
Which way do you like?
Well, the North Stars used to kill us, I'll tell you, when they moved the puck around quick and just worked it into the slot and then let her go.
The Rangers cleared down the ice. Hartsburg back to get it, almost lost it. And here's Kurt Giles. To Steve Payne, now to Dino Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli shot partially blocked by Beck, and then it rolled to the goal mouth and was grabbed by Glenn Hanlon. Let's go to Al Trudwick here.
Dan, a few moments ago, we watched Pierre LaRouche of the Rangers race in 1-on-0 against Rolly Melanson of the Minnesota North Stars, and the puck just seemed to fall off his stick, and he crashed into the boards. And the look on his face told the story of Pierre LaRouche's season thus far, and he'll be with us after the first period. We'll talk about what's been happening with him and what's it like in the Ranger clubhouse now that Craig Patrick is back as coach. Stay with us.
With the way things have been happening for the Rangers and with the way LaRouche went into the boards, if I were Al Trudwick, I'd get a backup interview because he may be in the medical room. Just going on the history of the season and what we saw as he bounced into those boards. Here's McKegney trying to feed it in. Racing out after it is Rogers. Rogers tied up. Now Patorek getting the puck, and there's a penalty coming up to Minnesota. And now as Maruk gets the puck, a penalty is called against the North Stars and against Ken Solheim. You'll see right here why.
Pretty obvious, Dan, as Solheim had his arms and threw Rogers down onto the ice. Now, Rogers is not a very big player. Solheim much taller, but you use the shoulder to take the player out. You don't use your hands to tackle him.
If you're a linebacker, you do, but we don't have linebackers in the NHL. So now each team will be a man short. Still 43 seconds left in the Grant Ledyard penalty of the Rangers, and now to the penalty box is Solheim for holding. 17:43 the time. A 1-1 game. Dennis Maruk with his 11th of the year has scored for Minnesota, and Blaisdell with his first of the year has scored for New York. Mike Blaisdell just up from the New Haven Farm Club in the American League. He scored in the American League, but his first in the NHL this year. Each team a man short and a little more skating room at this point. We're down to just over 2 minutes left in the first period as Roberts for Minnesota moves it up to Keith Acton. Acton trying to go around Bob Brook. Acton sliding it across for Rouse. He held it in, shot it into the corner, and Brook gets it free and drops it back of his own goal to Richmond, number 41. Steve Richmond loses to Acton, and Glenn Hanlon had to cover up, and that's about 3 times here in the first period that the Rangers defense has coughed up the puck, and all 3 times about no more than 10 feet away from that net.
Well, you feel sorry for Glenn Hanlon in those situations, but yet after one happens early in the game, you're much more prepared for the second and third ones to take place. And with players like Acton and Marouk, Cicerelli and Broughton, the North Stars can be really tricky offensively when they're forechecking. They've got a lot of small forwards that can get in behind you, that can pick your stick up, take the puck away from you very quick.
Pierre LaRouche ready for this face-off with Keith Acton. Deep in the Ranger zone, 1:38 left in the period. It's a 1-1 game. The Minnesota North Stars and the New York Rangers. And now Acton will be tossed out of the face-off. And stepping in to take it instead will be the rookie Scott Bukestad. Bukestad, another rookie off that United States Olympic team of a year ago. Here's LaRouche breaking up. Number 10, Lucky Pierre, they call him. LaRouche in on right wing for Contos. He centered it and dumped it back to drive. Watson about 15, 20 feet out of the net to make the save. And he held on to it. On a play like that, I guess if Beck had a second chance, he'd fake the shot and keep on going.
Well, he really would have. I think it caught Barry Beck by surprise. He just made a beeline for that net. He had his head down. He did not take a look at where Melanson was. Now, when you see Beck take that shot, he is looking down at the puck. That is not like Barry Beck, who usually has his head up. He would have seen that Melanson was way out.
Here's Beck, a shot from the point, wide of the target. Now LaRouche centered, and Conto fanned on it in the slot. Patrick from the point, shooting one wide. And Minnesota come up with it, and it's backhanded by Broughton down the ice. James Patrick back to pick it up. 1 minute left here in the first period, a 1-1 game, Minnesota and New York. Here's Patrick to Contos. He fires it in, and Melanson out of the goal is there to clear it. Knocked down at center ice by Ledger, who works it to Ruotsalainen, back to Grant Ledger. Now to Rayo Ruotsalainen. Headmanning it ahead for Hedberg. Hedberg trying to feed it in front. Now Hedberg gets it right back again. Anders Hedberg. Well, they missed him when he was out with that eye injury. And then it's shot down the ice by Broughton.
Hedberg played very well last night in his comeback game in Montreal against the Canadiens. It's hoped that he can stay in this game, and with the Rangers, the eyesight was questionable.
Here's Pavelec to Brester right in. Hit the side of the net with a backhander. Brester with a great chance. Now Brester fans on one. At the point, they score! Ledyard let it go. It may have been tipped by Mike Rogers. We'll wait and see.
No question.
Mike Rogers tipped it, don't you?
I agree with you. No question. It changed directions. Watch as Ledyard tees it up, but it hit somebody, and we'll see whether Pavelec may have touched that puck. Pavelec came across. I think Rogers was out of the play at the time, but Pavelec might have got a stick on it. It definitely changed directions.
Now as the puck is dropped, the first period comes to a conclusion. Shots on goal in the opening period favored Minnesota by a margin of 16-10. Still no announcement as to who got the goal, but I would guess Pavelec deflected it, and the Rangers nonetheless lead 2-1. Coming up, Pierre LaRouche. The Rangers center iceman will visit our USA studio and chat with Al Troutwig. After one period of play, the score, the Rangers 2, Minnesota 1. Our first intermission coming up after this pause.
It starts with a subtle glance. The enticement of discovering something wondrously new. The Dodge Aries K. Sleek, new styling that will captivate you. Performance that will infatuate you. You always knew Aries for its economy and value. Now you'll love it for its beauty.
What does it take to transform raw materials into fresh ideas? Imagination. At Quasar, we're obsessed with imagination. and what it can bring you.
Let's go.
Quasar, out of our minds, into your hands.
When you're taking a trip for business or pleasure, it's nice to know the best places to stay and eat along the way. The mobile travel guide comes in 7 regional editions. It quality rates hotels, motels, and restaurants from 1 to 5 stars. You get easy-to-follow maps and coupons worth up to 50% off on attractions and places to stay. The mobile travel guide. It'll make your trip 5-star all the way.
My hardware store.
Fortune 500.
We've expanded into 6 states.
The Kemper Group not only insures every type of big business, but also little businesses that might never have grown up if it weren't for the Cavalry's dedication to service and professional advice. That's the difference between just insurance and the Kemper Cavalry.
Someday my company will need a cavalry.
Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
We'll be taking 2 weeks off on USA from our NHL coverage, but we will be back in February with a full schedule. We'll begin 2 weeks from tonight, February 12th, when these same New York Rangers battle the Philadelphia Flyers. That, of course, a very important Patrick Division matchup. Then on Tuesday night, February 14th, we'll be at the Olympic Saddle Dome in Calgary, Alberta, for the 37th NHL All-Star Game, and you won't want to miss that. That's February 14th, and a complete schedule continues all throughout February right here on USA. Right here at Madison Square Garden in New York, the Rangers lead the Minnesota North Stars by a score of 2-1. That's after 1 period of play. And there was that late goal scored with only 5 seconds left in the period. Ledyard for the Rangers, assisted by Pavlich and Greshner at 19:55. Our guest in the studio with me tonight after 1 period of play is Pierre LaRouche of the New York Rangers. Pierre, that one play you had, the breakaway, sliding in, you just told me a minute ago you stepped on the puck. That's kind of the way this Rangers season has been going, hasn't it?
Yeah, we had a lot of trouble. We started the season on a bad note, and it's been carrying on since then. And, you know, before, I know you'll ask me about the change of the coach. When things like that happen, you know, usually that's the first man to go, and it's very unfortunate because Herb is a great coach.
I see a different look in your eyes this year. You're pressing a little bit, and that's just from an outsider, almost a fan.
No, well, maybe you always try to, you know, maybe I am pressing a little bit, but I don't feel that I'm doing it. But again, I'm getting too close to the net all the time, and you know, it's a lot easier to check me, and then I usually stay out in the slot.
Let's take a look at that breakaway, and maybe we can analyze it a little bit. If you were to look at this and say what you should have done differently, what would it be?
I shot the puck.
The puck.
Yeah, shoot the puck. I was coming in there, and the angle was pretty bad, but he came out, and as you see there, I just missed the puck, and I stepped on it, and it's not the way to score goals.
And I guess Melanson played you pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, now you got ahead of me a little bit, but the coaching change shocked everybody?
Oh, yeah. We never expected it, but again, when, you know, we're in 5th place, we're battling for Pittsburgh for a playoff spot. Jersey is right behind us, and I guess that Craig felt they need the change, and you know, they have to make the decision sometimes. They're not always easy to make, but in this case, you know, that was Herb who had to go, and it's hard to change everybody else. You have to change one man.
So now Craig Patrick walks in the locker room the first time as the coach. No stranger to you guys, but now all of a sudden a different role. What did he say to the team?
Well, not much. You know, he told us to go out there and work hard, and they'll look from there. He's been watching it from the upstairs. It's a lot easier to be behind the net, behind the bench, and it's going to take him a little while to get used to it, and for us to get used to him. But hopefully it'll work for the best.
Now, you may have seen tonight Pierre LaRouche, the scorer, becoming Pierre LaRouche, the penalty killer. What's going on with that, and do you like it?
I think I'm just going out there for the face-off, and it's good because it keeps you in the game, and it's fun. The other team are more relaxed when they kill penalties, and sometimes you get a break, and you can go.
All right, Pierre, stop stepping on the puck, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Pierre LaRouche of the New York Rangers has been with us on USA after the first period, and for being our guest, Loris Quartz Watches and Clocks would like him to have a handsome Quartz World Travel Alarm Clock for being with us on USA tonight. Our thanks to Pierre LaRouche with the score 2-1 Rangers. We look back on Rangers history. October 12th, 1976. Most goals in one game by a rookie. 5 by Don Murdoch. The team, the Minnesota North Stars. We'll be coming up. We'll take a special look at Bubba, Barry Beck, the captain of the Rangers, with Tom Murray. All that and more as we continue live from New York City.
I'd sure like another Stroh's.
Oh, wait. Alex? 2 cold Stroh's. Where do you see this? Just open the refrigerator. Just open one bottle. Just open the other. Now he's pouring yours. Now he's pouring mine. Alex, you better be drinking your water.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
You probably can't guess where you can find all this under one roof. Probably not at the stereo store at the mall. Probably not at the TV shop. Or the computer center across town. You'll find all this at Sears. That's right, Sears.
There's more for your life at Sears.
If you're an investor, here's an important telephone number from Charles Schwab and an important message.
I work long hours at my job, but I still don't need somebody else telling me what stocks to buy and sell. I make my own decisions, and often I make them after the markets have closed. That's one reason I trade with Charles Schwab, the #1 discount broker. With Schwab, I can place an order to buy or sell anytime, day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I can sleep easy. I know my order will be entered the minute the market opens. And I can save up to 76% on commissions compared to what full commission brokers charge. 24-hour service, big savings. That's why I invest through Charles Schwab.
I'm Charles Schwab. You'll like our low commissions, our convenience, and our quality service. That's a promise.
For a free booklet telling what Schwab Discount Brokerage can do for you, call 800-458-6400 toll-free. That's 800-458-6400. Charles Schwab, a Bank America company. Member SIPC.
Tomorrow night, it begins at 8 Eastern Time, an evening of highly charged entertainment with the USA premiere event. First, Tom Berenger, Suzanne Plachette star the compelling story of a struggling boxer in part 1 of Flesh and Blood. Then at 9 p.m., an electrifying performance by rock superstar Kenny Loggins in concert. The USA premiere event tomorrow. Right here at Madison Square Garden in New York, after one period of play, the New York Rangers with a goal with only 5 seconds left to go in the period lead the Minnesota North Stars by a score of 2-1. We are going to take a look now at a very important part of the New York Rangers defense. He is the captain. They call him Bubba. He is Barry Beck. Tom Murray takes a look at the big backliner.
Not much has changed for Barry Beck since he was traded by the Colorado Rockies to the New York Rangers just over 4 years ago. At 26, he's still young, still an imposing physical specimen at 6'3", 215 pounds, still a promising, hard-hitting defenseman, still the same down-to-earth guy who would have been just as happy living the laid-back life he learned to love as a youngster growing up in Vancouver. The fast-lane lifestyle of Broadway would never change Barry Beck. Barry. It's just that there's an awful lot to do there and not enough time to do it. And fooling around with the saxophone is just one of many distractions that has given Beck a whole new perspective on just how hard it can be to think only of hockey.
You have the best of everything right here in New York, so you're going to be distracted quite a bit, and concentration is very, very important in each and every game. I know, when I don't play good, it's because I'm thinking about something else, and it's your job as a professional athlete to try and concentrate as much as you can and to play as good as you can each and every game, and sometimes you just can't do that. And one of the main things has just been distractions from, from the city of New York. And that's probably been, I think, the biggest and key reason why the Rangers haven't won a cup in so long. I think that's it. I don't know. That's my observation.
Were you a little bit overwhelmed when you first got to New York from Colorado?
Yeah, well, coming from Colorado, of course, I mean, I lived on the first floor. Where I lived there, we only had 3 floors. So when I first came here, I lived with Ronnie Greshner and slept on his couch for a couple of weeks. And we were on the, I think it was either 27th or 28th floor. So that was quite a change, looking out of the bedroom window and not seeing too much down below you. And it was just a big adjustment coming from the country life to the city life. But it's one that, you know, wasn't too easy, but I was able to make the adjustment, you know, fairly soon anyways.
There are some who said Beck made the adjustment too soon, too quickly, and that he didn't use good judgment in agreeing to do a certain promotion shortly after arriving from Colorado. It took place at a New York City disco, and in the eyes of many, got Beck off on the wrong foot, image-wise. The one memory that I think a lot of people have of you when you first came to New York is the Viva underwear thing that you did it. You remember that?
Oh.
Was that, I mean, was that done?
That goes on.
Was that done as for a kick? I mean, it was fun, obviously, to do.
It was done as a kick. I did it with some penthouse pets, and everybody. As a matter of fact, I had my girlfriend living with me at the time, who is no longer living with me. She didn't want me to do it, and my lawyer didn't want me to do it, and most of my friends told me that I was was going to be a jerk for doing it. So really, that's why I went ahead and did it. And I never had so much fun in all my life. You know, I had to loosen up before I went up on stage a little bit. But I can remember coming home, and my girlfriend was crying. She left early when I was up on the dance floor. I saw her walking out the door, so I knew I was in trouble right there. And you know, I got nothing but grief and guff for it for a couple of weeks after that, but then I blew over and everything was fine.
These days, Beck's promotions and image-building activities are a mite more conservative. One of his favorites involves the United Neighborhood Houses of New York. The kids at this Ranger game are here first to watch Barry play, and then to meet and talk to him after the game. Beck is the first to admit that the interest someone took in him as a kid helped put him back on the right track, and he contributes free tickets to the Rangers, Knicks, Yankees, and other sports teams in the metropolitan area. He also donates $200 to the UNH every time he scores a goal.
We are working with the UNH, which are the United Neighborhood Houses in the greater New York area. There are 36 houses, and they're like small community centers where the kids go when they have some spare time to maybe look for some type of release if they're not getting at home or they're on the street or somewhere like that or in school. They come to the centers and the houses, and they've been trying to provide them with activities that they can use, to take up some time, some good activities. The essential thing that we provide is just really our time, and we just want to try and help these kids as much as possible.
If we can acknowledge, or if we can get you to agree that you probably do have an image as a professional athlete, do you have any idea of how you come across to people, how you come across to the public?
No.
No,
I don't think so. I just think, everybody's just supposed to be, just try and be yourself, I guess. And the way you grew up, the way your personality is, the way you were taught, your mannerisms. I think that all reflects upon your family and the people that you have around you. I don't think I try and certainly don't try and be something that I'm not. I realize I'm a professional athlete, and sometimes a lot of people want to know a little bit more about me. So I just try and let them in on the good points, not too many of the bad points. But you got to throw some of the bad points in there just to let them know, that you're a real person.
There's not really any doubt that Barry Beck is a real person. Just as comfortable talking about a new piece of art he discovered in Soho as he is hamming it up for our cameras in his apartment. In a city like New York, where it would be very easy for a high-profile athlete like himself to get caught up and carried away by it all, Beck is impressive, not only for the things he says, but for the things he does.
When you've got a long way to go, it's nice to go with a friend. The 1985 Toyota Standard Bed truck toughened up this year with more horsepower than ever, so you know it can carry its share of the load. The new Toyota Standard Bed truck at only $59.98.
Friend, you're worth twice the price.
I guess I've wanted to go to Alaska ever since I was an 8-year-old boy, listening to my father talk about it.
Alaska is an eagle
that I want to fly across a sea of castles, reaching for the sky. Alaska is the part of me left unexplored. Alaska is the warming sun on a misty fjord. She is the mystery that I will never tame. She is Alaska, Alaska. Alaska is her name.
I took a vacation to Alaska last year, and I discovered an interesting thing. That 8-year-old boy is still alive.
Alaska.
We are back live at Madison Square Garden in New York. The second period just underway. It is 2-1, the Rangers leading Minnesota. And now Glenn Hanlon wants to do some adjusting on his goal skates. By the way, that last goal of the first period was scored by the defenseman Ledyard. Pavlich and Greshner got the assists. 1955 was the time. We knew it had deflected in off someone, and apparently it hit Harold Sneps, the former Vancouver player who's now on the Minnesota defense. So that's the change of direction we saw.
Well, it was not Pavlich. And Harold Sneps won't get a point for that one, that's for sure. But we did know one thing, and it changed directions, and it's difficult to blame Melanson for that.
Here are the Rangers with Fedoruk moving in. Shoots one. Melanson, a glove save. Now Fedoruk, back of that goal, trying to center it. Hedberg in to help up. Now Gordy Roberts gets it for Minnesota. Into the corner again for Fedoruk. He's knocked down. Now Maruk knocking Hedberg down, and Maruk shoots the puck over onto the other wing. Beck holding it in. Behind the goal, Hedberg centered it. Willie Flight intercepts for Minnesota. Number 24 is Platt. Trying to go right through the middle of the defense. Did, but Hamlin got the puck and cleared it to Fedoruk. Now on right wing for Ruotsalina. Broken up by Minnesota, and the North Stars come right back out. McKechnie giving it to Maruk. Dennis Maruk jumps it in. Ron Greshner for the Rangers back after it. Greshner to Ruotsalina. Shooting one, and he missed on the short side with a slap shot. Now held in by Pavlich for New York. Shot back of the goal. Giles gets it for Minnesota. Ahead on left wing to Payne. Steve Payne, a long, weak shot. And Glenn Hanlon took no chance as he just smothered it.
Hanlon covering up in the puck, but it was Keith Acton who was very quick to get in there. Acton was a former Canadian speed skating champion when he was very young. He came to play for me in junior hockey in Peterborough, Ontario, and his great speed earned him the right to be selected by the Montreal Canadiens, but as a very late draft choice, Acton, after a couple of years in the minors, proved that he could play in this league and play very well.
Now Acton is tossed out of the faceoff, and Steve Payne will take the draw against Mike Rogers. Pavlich is also tossed out. And the faceoff is now Rogers is tossed out. Rayo Ruotsalinen will take the draw. Comes to Belichick at the point. A shot that hit Payne and just bounced wide. Now James Patrick to Rogers, number 17. Payne intercepting it at center ice. Payne over to the newcomer Shervin for Minnesota. He's checked. And Ruotsalinen flips it in for New York. He flipped it up very high. Melanson cleared it. Pavlich knocking it down in behind the goal. It comes back on the right point. Ledyard fell as he moved in. Now Rogers trying to center. Giles upends him, and Gord Sherman takes a hit from Richmond, but cleared it down the ice. Ledyard going back to get it, number 30. Brent Ledyard ahead to Ruotsalinen. Lead pass to Rogers. Backhander wide by about 3 feet. Cicerelli trying to move it out of there. He couldn't, but Sneps does. Harold Sneps into Neil Broughton. Broughton to Sneps. Hanlon dove across and made a spectacular save on Harold Sneps. Wow. From Maine to Maui, you're watching the NHL on USA.
You've put in a long, hard, tough day. So you deserve to end the day in style. The 1985 Toyota SR5 Sport Truck, sporting a new electronically fuel-injected engine that makes it the most powerful truck in its class, without sacrificing an ounce of style or comfort. The Toyota Sport Truck.
Isn't it a good-looking brute?
It's the New York Rangers 2, the Minnesota North Stars 1. But it was just about tied moments ago. A great save by Hanlon on Sneps.
Harold Sneps moved right up with a play. Quick little pass from Broughton, and Sneps almost directed the puck in, but Hanlon has been sharp.
A jam up on the boards for a loose puck taken by Minnesota. They give it to Sneps again, and this shot goes up high, up into the seats at Madison Square Garden.
You see Bob Brook doing some extra coverage on Neil Broughton. Broughton very tricky around the front of the net. Bob Brook, unaccustomed this year anyway of playing that defensive position, but very pleased to be given the word by Craig Patrick that he was going to go back and play on the blue line.
Brook, originally drafted by St. Louis out of Yale University. Born in Melrose, Massachusetts. A shot wide of the goal by Minnesota. Now Hartsburg holding it in. Shot it around on the boards. Minnesota's Solheim digging in to hold it in for Minnesota. Now Sneps a shot from the point. And Beck has it for New York. Very poor clearing pass held in by Sneps, but he gave it right back to Beck, who gives it to LaRouche. Number 10, LaRouche. Can't get around Hartsburg, centered it to Blaisdell, but Broughton was back checking and breaks it up. Trying to clear it, Brook and pinched in to hold it in for New York. Get on the boards. The Ranger player Heath couldn't center it, and back comes Broughton. Broughton to Solheim, shooting one, Hanlon the save, and then Beck really gave a tough check to Solheim in the corner. The Rangers come back. Late pass in on left wing for number 26, Randy Heath. Now it comes back to center. Gretner shooting it back in, but Hartsburg has it for Minnesota. Number 4, Craig Hartsburg. Leaves it for Marook in front to Flutt. Hanlon up to knock that away. We'll get a penalty here on the play. Interference against Bob Brook will be the call, and the Rangers will be shorthanded. The score here early in the second period. The New York Rangers 2, Minnesota 1. We'll be right back.
Crow Wing, Minnesota and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Crow Wing means northern pipe, big and mean, and Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer, that smooth golden Old Milwaukee Light. It's a beauty. And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, doesn't get any better than this.
Bob Brook in the penalty box for the Rangers. Interference was the call. 4:12 was the time.
Shake those teeth up there, Coach.
I need a new set, Dan.
Here are the North Stars with the man advantage. Minnesota 0 for 3 on the power play so far tonight. Dropping it back to Hartsburg. Shoots one. Blocked in front of the net. I think it hit another North Star. It really never got to the goaltender. Now McKechnie holding it in. At the point is Giles. Got it back to the goal. Tony McKechnie trying to center one to Broughton. Back to Hartsburg. Hartsburg, rip shot. Blocked in front of the net. Another penalty coming up. And I think this one will be on Willie Flutt. He was running a little interference in front of the Ranger goal. And he gets the call for a penalty.
Interference, holding, call it what you want. But not much question about the fact that Willie Flutt was giving number 3, James Patrick, for the Rangers a rough time. I believe Flutt is getting a holding call. James Patrick ends up underneath.
Well, Glenn Sonmore sees his team now back with an even strength attack against the Rangers. Each team will be a man short. It is a holding call, 4:43 the time. And Brook is also in the penalty box for New York, and so each team will be a man short. The Rangers leading here 2-1. Dennis Baruch ready to face off against Jan Eriksson of the Rangers. Puck comes to center. It is taken by Randy Belichick to Kurt Giles. Giles to Belichick. Out to McKechnie. McKechnie fired it behind the goal. Hanlon cleared it. Baruch intercepted, but his centering pass intercepted by Beck, who shot up the center. Giles is back to Baruch. Baruch to McKechnie. Beck is there again defensively for the Rangers. Clearing it to the Minnesota line where Giles feeds Randy Belichick up the middle for Baruch. Flopped over his stick. Going back to Beck. And as he touches the puck, it's an icing call because Minnesota had shot it in from their side of center ice.
Plays a pretty mean saxophone, doesn't he, Dan?
Barry Beck does. I had not been aware of that talent.
Well, Al Trutwig has informed us that Craig Patrick has told Barry Beck that he is to have no sax before the game. That is from Al Trutwig, and don't blame Dan Kelly for that one.
I had nothing to do with it. 14:40 left here in the second period, a 2-1 Ranger lead. Eriksson against Scott Bukestad on this faceoff in the Minnesota zone, and Gordy Roberts, number 10, has it for the North Stars. Each team a man short as Minnesota, now led by Hartsburg, come to center ice. Clearing it into Bukestad, or actually into Gord Sherbin, and the play is offside as Bukestad was in ahead of the play. And Minnesota's rookie defenseman Bob Rouse talking to his coach Glenn Sonmore.
Now you look back at that last penalty that Willie Plett took in front of the net. North Stars had the power play. It was in the offensive zone. He was the one that actually grabbed the Ranger defenseman. Coaches wonder about those penalties, why they're in the coaching profession.
Here's Rouse behind his own goal, moving it to Gord Roberts. Roberts, number 10, feeding it to Bukestad. Bukestad trying to shoot it in for Sherbin. That's knocked down by Richmond, and then as Rouse carried back in the play is offside. Gord Sherbin, by the way, out on the ice wearing jersey number 26. Sherbin came to Minnesota just last week in a trade, along with Terry Martin from Edmonton in return for Mark Napier. Napier scored a goal for Edmonton last night.
Well, Sherbin getting his ice time tonight because Bellows not in the lineup, and of course Tom McCarthy is not in the lineup either tonight, suffering from the flu, and so a couple of key offensive performers unexpectedly out of the North Stars lineup tonight. Sherbin getting the ice time.
Here's Steps clearing it in. Hanlon back of the net, shoots it to Hedberg. Hedberg winding it back of his own goal as Brook comes back on and lets a pass go through his skates for LaRouche. But Steps beats everybody to it and shot it back to center. 20 seconds left in Minnesota's penalty to Plett, so the Rangers on a brief power play. LaRouche getting it to James Patrick, his long shot. Cleared by Melanson. Now Belichick trying to clear it out. He didn't, but Neil Broughton did. And Patrick, number 3, goes back to pick it up. Patrick, the 21-year-old former number 1 draft choice of the Rangers. Feeding it to Contos, now over onto the wing as Hedberg moves in. Backhand shot as he was falling, and Melanson handles that. Here's the centering pass in front. Melanson came diving out to stop that, and here's Plett leading a 3-on-2 Minnesota break. Willie Plett dropping it to McKechnie, shoots, he scores! McKechnie has tied this game up.
Well, that's the way this game goes at times. Pierre LaRouche had missed an excellent opportunity that Melanson had robbed him of, and then the North Stars come right back. Here's McKechnie from the slot. He picks that spot beautifully. You couldn't be in any better shooting position.
Good play by Willie Plett. He could have given it to the front man, but he dropped it back.
Good wrist shot by McKechnie. He didn't wind up, take a lot of time for a slap shot, giving Hanlon a chance to set up. He just let her go.
That ties it at 2 apiece as Grant Ledyard now carries back for New York. Into the center ice area. Broken up by Gord Roberts. Now Ledyard at center ice. Clearing it over for Richmond on the boards. Richmond and Sherman jam up there. The Rangers get the puck and start to move off ice. Meanwhile, that melee on the far side of the ice continues. 2 North Stars and 1 Ranger there, but that's right in front of the Ranger bench.
I believe it was Roche and Acton that were in there, but I am not sure which Ranger player it was. It appears as though it was Steve Richmond that was being given the once-over here. Initially, Sherman giving a check.
And in came Acton.
Well, so it was Acton and Sherman, and they continue to push and shove. Now watch the linesman here, Foyt, come in, and he tries to break the whole incident up while the play was still going on.
We're going to get penalties on the play. And for our local systems, we'll pause right here. It's the NHL on USA.
Goalies are born with great eyesight, something you need to stop 100-mile-an-hour slap shots. People with retinitis pigmentosa, RP, aren't so lucky. But the RP Foundation Fighting Blindness is working to prevent the tunnel vision and sight loss RP causes and help patients cope with this genetic eye disease. Call 800-638-2300 and support the RP Foundation Fighting Blindness. Preserving sight is one of the greatest saves you can make.
Well, there you see Richmond in the penalty box. The penalties being assessed right now. Rogers going in there as well. Craig Patrick a little upset behind the Rangers bench.
They have just the 1 penalty posted on the penalty clock.
And number 21 for New York, Steve Richmond, 2 minutes roughing.
Well, Rogers gets a charging penalty. They haven't said what about Richmond. Oh, Richmond gets a roughing call, and so does Acton. There you see the injured Ranger player Don Maloney back of the bench helping out with Coach Craig Patrick tonight.
Craig Patrick has been alternating some players behind the bench, trying to get them involved with the game. Last night in Montreal, it was George McPhee. Tonight, it is Don Maloney.
Well, they only have the 1 penalty posted on the clock, so I am surmising that Rogers gets the original penalty. So that means the Rangers were going to be a man short, and then the other 2 minors to Acton and to Richmond were coincidental minors, and they don't go on the clock. Here's an offside play at the Ranger blue line. It's a hard call for us to ascertain because all the penalties occurred at the same time.
You take a look at Broughton. We had talked previously in the first period about this young man having a difficult time scoring. You look at his statistics right now, and in 48 games, only 12 goals, 23 assists, 35 points, way behind last year's pace.
Gary, on that play, 3 penalties called on the same stoppage. Wouldn't one team be 2 men short and the other just 1? He has made it a coincidental ruling, I believe, and the only penalty that's on the clock is Rogers.
I can't quite understand that.
You're a big help here, huh? You're really helping me out when I'm stuck. Anyway, Minnesota on a power play. They're not shorthanded at all. And the Rangers are 1 man short. Here's Richmond in the corner. Dropping it back, and Hartsburg at the point couldn't hold it in. Bert Giles has to go back. Now to Hartsburg. Over to Giles. Into the center ice area to Broughton. Broughton moving in, drops it to Cicerelli. That's knocked away, and Patorek cleared it away, and Hartsburg has to go back. Minnesota with the man advantage in this 2-2 game. Greg Hartsburg over to Dennis Baruch. Shot in around on the boards. Now a loose puck is there, and it's taken by Barry Beck. Beck clearing one out on right wing. James Patrick is there to shoot it in. Going back is Hartsburg. Hartsburg behind the net to Kurt Giles. Shot out on right wing to Willie Plett. That's knocked down, and the rookie Ledyard has it for the Rangers. 40 seconds left in the penalty to Rogers as it's dumped into the Minnesota zone. Erickson into Voracek. Gets the puck for New York. Jan Erickson moving in. He's knocked down by Plett. Gets up again, back to Brook. Brook shoots from the point. Melanson to his knees to stop that, and now McKegney beats Baruch. Baruch got it to the line. Ledyard breaks that up. And now McKegney dropping it back to Giles. At the North Star line to Baruch, ahead to McKegney. McKegney moving in, backhander and a stick save by Hanlon on a shot which probably would have been wide anyway. Held in by Minnesota, but Bob Brook is there to knock it out for New York. Into the center ice area, the puck cleared in by the Rangers' Sundstrom. And going back is Rouse, who gives it to Roberts. Penalties have all expired, so the team's at full strength. Here are the Rangers getting it to the line, but Sherman is there. He passes it over onto the wing. Now fed ahead on right wing for Sherman. Beck is there to break that up. And Beck fires it out on right wing for Pavelich. Pavelich into Ruotsalinen. He's checked and intercepting, but failing to clear it. The North Stars. Beck held it in. Into the corner, now centered to Ruotsalinen. Round on the boards to Rogers. Rogers to Pavelich. He couldn't center it. And then a jam up on the boards in the Minnesota zone, and we get a stoppage in play. The place to stay is USA for exclusive National Hockey League coverage. More coming in just a moment.
Dodge Omni, Dodge Charger. 2 great cars, 2 great deals. Your choice, no extra charge. With Deal 1, you get an automatic transmission at no extra charge. With Deal 2, you get an AM/FM stereo radio, 5-speed manual transmission, and a go-get-em 2.2-liter engine at no extra charge. Omni, Charger. Pick the car, pick the package. The choice is yours. Now, get 8.8 financing. Participating dealers have details.
Other games tonight, Quebec leading Buffalo 2-1 in the second period, and Chicago and Toronto no score in the first period. Here midway through the second period, it's 2-2, the Rangers in Minnesota. And Broughton starts out on left wing to Solheim, now to Broughton. Broughton to Solheim, high shot, Hanlon the save, Ciccarelli fanned on the rebound. Ruotsalinen coming back to Pavelich. Now to LaRouche at center ice, who dumps it in. Back of the goal and controlling it. Belichick feeding it to Neil Broughton. Now to Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli to Broughton. Couldn't get through the defense. Ciccarelli gets it into the corner to Solheim. Now the puck squirts out to the other side. And the Rangers come back, led by Ledyard. Into LaRouche. Back to Ledyard. He tried to slide it through. Now LaRouche centered in. Blaisdell in front of the net. Just failed to tip that in. He had an open net. Hartsburg intercepts a pass and clears the zone for Minnesota. Brent Ledyard for New York. Over on right wing for Blaisdell. Blaisdell waiting for his teammate Contos to get back onside. Now he dumps it in. Now stolen. And a centering pass by Randy Heath broken up. And here comes Minnesota to center ice. But Ciccarelli just dumps it in as the North Stars wanted a line change. Now to Contos at center. Got it to the middle of the Minnesota line. Knocked away by Hartsburg. Now to McKegney. And McKegney is checked and the Rangers come back. Number 18 makes Blaisdell. Upended and circling is Hartsburg for Minnesota to Willie Fleck. And now back of the play. A penalty called against Harold Sneps as he upended Chris Contos. Sneps was trying to be a little cute and didn't get away with it, and it will cost Minnesota.
Well, watch this play. You can see that Sneps very guilty right in front of the net, taking Contos down. I think Sneps thought that he was going to get away with it.
And a penalty, Gary, that he really didn't have to take.
Not at all, Dan. And again, those are frustrating penalties for coaches to witness because it gives your club a real kick in the butt at the time because you just need so badly to play even up situations so whereby you can get your lines working together, and that has not been the case in this game.
Tripping the call, 12:09 the time. And now the Rangers with the man advantage. Ledyard giving it to Ruotsalinen, back to Grant Ledyard. Ledyard trying to go around Rouse, puts it back of the goal. Roberts for the North Stars. Trying to clear it. Van Hoff off the boards. It comes right to Mark Pavelich for New York. Trying to center to Ruotsalinen. Now Roberts knocks that away, and it's cleared by Bukestad down the ice for Minnesota. The rookie Ledyard, number 30. To Ruotsalainen. Intercepted at center by Bukestad. He feeds McKegney, and McKegney breaking in on the wing. Bressner tied him up. Hanlon pokes it into the corner, and Ledyard leaves it there for Mark Pavelich. Left wing pass into the center ice area for Ruotsalainen. Dropping it now to Pavelich, who shot it in, but he shot it up too high, and it went over the glass and into the crowd.
Yeah, I think we should go back, not to leave viewers hanging, back to the penalties that Rogers, when he got it for charging Acton and Richmond. The reason why we're a 5-on-4 situation is because the penalties occurred in the same stoppage in play. Therefore, we had 5 skaters to 4 rather than 4 to 3. And the reason that being is that it is much more advantage to a team for a team to play a 4-on-3 situation than it is a 5-on-4. So the league had established that rule as long as it was in the same stoppage of play.
So they rule one as a penalty and the other 2 as coincidental penalties if they don't go on the clock. And as Gary points out, that's to prevent the 4-against-3 power play, which is more dangerous than the 5-against-4. But all 3 penalties came on the same stoppage.
Well, I was a little confused in the play. I was still looking for Rogers' charging penalty.
I didn't see that either. Puck is cleared in behind the Ranger goal. Hanlon out of the net to shoot it over on left wing to Beck. 45 seconds left in the Minnesota penalty. Beck feeding it into Hedberg to LaRouche. Shoots, big rebound, but knocked away by Minnesota. Into the corner is Patrick. Shooting it around on the boards. It comes to Beck at the point. Behind the goal to Patrick. He couldn't handle the pass. And Patrick then taken out by Roberts. Roberts failed to clear it out on the boards, however, as 2 Rangers jam him up. And now we'll get a stoppage and a face-off coming up in the Minnesota zone.
The point that I had brought up about taking bad penalties and what a disadvantage it is for your team, not only in the fact that you have to kill the penalty, but both clubs have had a difficult time tonight so far being able to get any momentum going for any sustained period of time because they've not been able to get 5-man units out there. And when you're trying to get lines working together and yet you're always faced with specialty teams, then you've either got 5 power plays out, or you got power plays out there, your penalty killing units, and boy, that does not help you get things going.
Here's Beck at the point, shoots, he blasted that wide. The Rangers still with the man advantage. Conto centering one, into the slot, LaRouche shot, saved by Melanson, and the North Stars come up with it in Bukestad. The rookie number 14 speeding in. Bukestad shoots, Hanlon kicked out his right leg to stop back. Bukestad lose Sherman as a decoy and almost fooled Hanlon. Now here is LaRouche to center ice. Minnesota now back at full strength. The Steps is back on, but now the Rangers go outside at the Minnesota line. For our local systems, Will Plows here. It's the NHL on USA.
Hockey fans from coast to coast, you can obtain the commemorative poster honoring the retirement of one of the NHL's true greats, Philadelphia's Bobby Clarke, by sending along checker money order for $4.50 for each poster desired to Philadelphia Flyers, Post Office Box CS 1048, Moorestown, New Jersey. Last time offer, so don't miss out.
Tom Berenger, a man who fought too hard. Suzanne Plachette, a mother who loved too much. Flesh and Blood, a 2-part USA premiere event tomorrow and Tuesday.
A 2-2 game, the Rangers and the North Stars here in New York. Errol Steps for Minnesota, shot at the center, and Bob Brook knocks it down there, cleared it. McKegney carrying right back in. Gets some help on the boards from Maruk, but Patorek intercepts that and passes it over to Richmond. Richmond to Potiu, now to Patorek. Patorek shoots high and wide with a booming slap shot. And then Minnesota fired out of there. Brook, number 13, hustling back. Brook giving it to Beck. That rookie Brook, who's just played a couple of games on defense, looks pretty much at home here.
Well, Dan, he is doing one thing exceptionally well. He's moving the puck quickly. He's not hanging on to it for a long period of time.
Now the Rangers back in Potiu, and now Beck again start to throw their weight around. And then it's cleared by New York's Randy Heath to center ice. Steps back to get it. Trying to shoot it out, and Beck has it there. Beck for the Rangers. Ridden out by Steps. A Jam up in the corner. Puck comes behind the goal to Portillo. Nick Portillo. Too closely checked. Never got the shot away. And Baruch then clears it and cleared it up over the boards at the Ranger bench. Puck came back onto the ice, but that stopped play. And the Ranger fans react because of the hitting of Beck and Portillo on that last shift.
Well, it's one thing they love here at Madison Square Garden, and that is some good, solid body checking. Platt had given a couple of excellent ones, but Beck goes right back at Platt. And watch Portillo. He comes in there to get in the action as well. We had 4 or 5 good, solid body checks during the course of that shift, and that is exactly what we had missed in the first period of play. The intensity level seems to have increased here in the second period, and a lot for the North Stars has to do with the aggressiveness of Willie Platt.
I was going to say that. Willie on the receiving end for a change. He's usually the guy that's banging people around. Face off in the Minnesota zone. They rule the puck was not dropped barely, so they'll do it over again. We're down to 4:05 left here in period 2. The New York Rangers 2, Minnesota 2. The Rangers getting goals from Blaisdell and Ledyard. Baruch and McKechnie scoring for Minnesota. Loose puck near the Minnesota goal, but Giles intercepted and carries up near center ice and then shot it in. Rechner back to get it. Behind the goal to Patrick. Patrick clearing one. Now it comes back to Patrick again, number 3. James Patrick. For Ruotsalainen, the pass eluded him, will go the length of the ice. There was going to be no icing anyway. The rule Minnesota could have played it on the way down. Now it's Rogers centering, and Giles was stationed perfectly to break it up. And he gives it to Brutt. Number 7, Neil Brutt. Over onto the point to Giles. That shot blocked. Brutt in the rebound. Cuts in. Never got the shot off. Still has the puck, and then Ruotsalainen took it away from him. And shot it to center. Stolen by Rogers, and then Giles up-beams Rogers, and he'll get a penalty. Kurt Giles says, no, I shouldn't get it. But the referee, Noah, says you will. From wherever you are, we hope you're enjoying the NHL on USA.
Mount Hood, Oregon and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Mount Hood means the best summer skiing in America. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
Tastes as great as their name.
Man, it doesn't get any better than this.
That last play, Giles a tripping call. 16:50 the time. And the Rangers in this 2-2 game with a chance here. Somebody's got to take advantage of a power play.
Sooner or later they do, Dan. Right now the Rangers would love to. They had scored in the first period in the latter part. In fact, the last minute of play, 5 seconds to be exact. 3 minutes remaining in this period, and the Rangers have a good opportunity.
Now the puck is cleared by Melanson outside the line and carried back in by New York offside. Both teams are 0 for 4 in the game on the power play.
You notice that both goaltenders tonight as well have come out a fair amount when players have gone to shoot. Melanson does that a great deal. The Rangers would be smart to take one step to the side and look for the empty net, or look to pass the puck right in front of the net.
By the way, let me correct myself. Both teams 0 for 5 in the power play. Here's Bukestad breaking down the ice for Minnesota. Shoots. Handling the save. Bukestad after the rebound. Baruch knocked it away. And then Contos, without a stick, tries to kick it back into the corner. Close call for Bukestad and the North Stars. They're short-handed, but Beck feeds it up to Contos. Now shot to center and sliding all the way into the Minnesota zone. Going back after it and clearing it right back out is the rookie Bob Rouse. And the Rangers have to retreat again. Minute 5 left in the penalty. Here's LaRouche. His pass intercepted by Snepps. McKechnie lost it to Ruotsalainen. Ruotsalainen to LaRouche. Shoots. He shot wide from a bad angle. Now held in by Ledyard. Over to Rogers. Mike Rogers. Back on the point to Ledyard. Return to Rogers. Back to Ledyard again. Over to Rogers. Rogers fakes the shot, tried to work it through, but Snips broke it up and feeds it to Keith Acton. Head to McKechnie. He's checked. Acton picks it up to McKechnie again. Shoots one and Hanlon. A stick save on that low rocket by Tony McKechnie. Here's Rogers with 20 seconds left in the penalty. Gets it to center ice, and it's shot in by LaRouche. Bukestad has it for Minnesota. Bukestad trying to clear it out. Taken by Snips and fired down the ice. And going back to Ledger with 3 seconds left in the penalty. Ledger to Patrick, return to Ledger, and stolen by Bukestad. There's Bukestad into Giles, who's just out of the penalty box. And the pass was too high, he couldn't knock it down. Bukestad into the corner. We're in the final minute of the second period. Centered but intercepted by New York and cleared into the center ice area. Roberts has it there. Over for Rouse, who fires it in for Minnesota. Patrick back to get it. Passing it to Heath on left wing. He just shot it to center. And not much of a power play attack on that last try again by the Rangers, Gary Green.
No, it sure wasn't, Dan. In fact, not many dangerous opportunities at all by them. This has been a very erratic period.
Minnesota now in the last 20 seconds try to move up ice, but Patrick is there for New York, clearing one. Out on right wing. He feeds it to Mark Handler. Handler circling over to Beck. Beck shoots. He scores! Coutinho may have tipped it in. From his reaction, it's quite certain that Coutinho tipped it in.
I think he would be pleased if Barry Beck had got the goal, but not quite this pleased. Watch Beck. He winds up. He finally gets a good shot away here on net that works. But watch Coutinho coming in from the right to the left, and you can see that coverage was going on, but it appeared that it was a little bit too late. From another angle, let's see whether or not Coutinho, well, not much doubt about it. I'm not even sure whether that puck would have hit the net on Beck's shot, but Coutinho definitely redirected it.
He doesn't get many of them, but when he does, they really applaud here for the New York born Nick Coutinho. His third of the year from Beck and Pavlich at 1956. And that gives the Rangers the lead. Shots on goal. So far in the game, Minnesota 30, the Rangers 18. Coming up in our intermission, you'll meet the North Star coach, Glenn Sonmore. He'll be Al Krupnik's guest in our USA studio. The score after 2 periods of play. The New York Rangers 3, the Minnesota North Stars 2. Stay with us for Al Krupnik in our intermission, coming right up.
There's more than just grapes in most frozen grape juices. Most brands are sweetened with sugar and corn sweeteners. But not Seneca 100% natural grape juice. We start with sweet, delicious grapes, then add nothing but more sweet, delicious grapes. Because we believe a frozen grape juice should be made naturally sweet, naturally delicious. Seneca 100% natural grape juice with no sugar added.
Dinerex versus Selsun Blue.
This side here, I've got a tingling sensation. On this side, there's not much any sensation.
Look what you use.
Dinerex.
Each shampoo has one medicine for dandruff. Only Dinerex adds extra anti-itch medicine.
Selsun Blue's lost a customer. I'm a Dinerex man.
Bill Evans can't breathe. Would you try Dristan long-lasting nasal spray?
I'll try anything.
Can you breathe now?
Yeah, I think so.
Prove it. Prove it to yourself. Tristan goes to work in seconds, lasts all day.
It's the Las Vegas $325,000 Desert Inn Blackjack Tournament, February 10th through the 14th at the beautiful Desert Inn Country Club and Spa. This tournament is designed for all blackjack players. Anyone can enter, anyone can win. Play 3 rounds and you may win a brand new Cadillac. For information and a free brochure, call toll-free 1-800-492-4400. The $325,000 Desert Inn Blackjack Tournament. Enter today.
And save up to 76% on commissions compared to what full commission brokers charge. 24-hour service, big savings. That's why I invest through Charles Schwab.
I'm Charles Schwab. You'll like our low commissions, our convenience, and our quality service. That's a promise.
For a free booklet telling what Schwab Discount Brokerage can do for you, call 800-445-4500 toll-free. That's 800-445-4500. Charles Schwab, a Bank America company. Member SIPC.
We'll be taking a 2-week hiatus from our NHL coverage, but we will be back in February with a full schedule, and we'll begin 2 weeks from tonight, February 12th, with the same New York Rangers battling the Philadelphia Flyers in a key Patrick Division tussle. Then on Tuesday night, February 14th, we'll be at the Olympic Saddle Dome at Calgary, Alberta for the 37th NHL All-Star Game, a spectacle you won't want to miss, and it's just the beginning of things to come in February as our NHL coverage continues right here on USA. As we continue live from Madison Square Garden in New York. After 2 periods, you're looking at the score between the Minnesota North Stars and the New York Rangers. And really, when you look at these two teams, and I think we've already mentioned it numerous times tonight, there is so much in common between what has happened this season between Minnesota and New York. With me in the studio, the coach of the Minnesota North Stars, Glenn Sonmore. Coach, do you agree with that? A lot similar.
Yes, I do. Similar. We're rather fortunate the division we're in still gives us a very good, we don't have quite the desperate struggle the Rangers have, because we happen to be in a division where, despite our very disappointing record, we're still very much in the race.
Can you lend us a little bit of insight into what Craig Patrick is feeling now as being the coach once, stepping away, and then coming back to coach the same team once again, as you have?
Well, yeah, a little bit, and I can identify with Craig. Craig is a very high-class young man. He was with our Fighting Saints organization very briefly back in the WHA days, but it's a very difficult thing. First of all, it was a very difficult decision he had to make with in making the change, and secondly, it's tough coming back in there. There's some people probably, I don't say questioning you, but it's just a time of turmoil, and I'm sure Craig is going through what I've gone through somewhat, knowing that this team is capable of doing more than what it's doing, knowing that as coaches we got to take our share of the blame when they don't do it, and we took our share of the credit when they did, and it's a very frustrating time, and I haven't got time to feel sorry for him, but if I did have, I would.
Glenn, you know what it's like to be in public life and to have your laundry aired out in public and to go through that. That whole situation is now past you, but what has it done to you as a person? Are you more skeptical? Are you more easygoing? What has it done?
Well, I hope I'm, and this has got nothing to do with hockey, Al, I hope I'm more tolerant and less impatient than I was. Yes, it has been a marvelous experience for me, what I've gone through. It's made me see a lot of things in a different light, and I think has made me a better person and more able to deal with the things that come to all of us in life, and excuse me, many more of them are coming yet, I'm sure, but I feel much more at peace with myself, and I feel good about what's going on, and I'm very frustrated by what's going on with our hockey team, but I think I've been able to keep that in a better perspective with what's going on in life.
Did you have higher goals for what you returning to the coach of the North Stars would do to this team? Did you think it would be a much bigger change than what has happened?
Yes, certainly, and I still think it will be, but it has been frustrating to see a team that I know is capable of doing more, and I know it's frustrating for them. The biggest thing that's holding us back from getting going is that we just can't seem to score, and if you'd have told me that would be our problem, really, that we wouldn't be able to produce enough offense to get us in high gear, I would have told you you're screwy, but and maybe I'm being patient too long, but I still have a firm belief that this team is going to start to score. We, in fairness to them, we for the first time now are beginning to get the 3 lines that we think can do it for us intact, and with Dennis Marouk back from his injury, a little time to get going there, with the Broughton, Cicerelli, McCarthy line reunited, although even that's been held up a bit, McCarthy coming down with the flu, but that's a short time thing, so we think that those 2 lines, along with the Acton, Bellows, and Payne line, are going to get us going, and the return of Craig Hartsburg at defense is a big part of that. So I still think that's going to happen. I say history doesn't lie to you, but I'm beginning to wonder it's fooling me a little bit anyway, and these guys will score.
All that talent, it gets a little frustrating after a while. Coach Glenn Sonmore of the Minnesota North Stars has been our guest, one of the guys in hockey, and for being with us, he'll receive a handsome V-neck acrylic wool pullover sweater from the Toyota line, folks, and we're going to give him a Kodak disc camera. Just pull it out of your pocket, and it's
Mr. Simon, Mr. Simon. Almost identical cars, but not identical insurance companies.
Allstate update. Fast, fair claim service.
Mr. Simon is insured with the Good Hands people. All he had to do is to make one stop at any Allstate computerized claim center where he got an estimate and a fair settlement on the spot. For Mr. Simon, well, it wasn't so simple. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Look inside your imagination. See with your mind's eye a dream van. A new size van that stands alone in all the universe. With more cargo room than other new size vans. A van with the only available V6. A van with available seating for 8. But it's no dream. This dream van is real. The new size Chevy Astro. Order yours now.
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we gonna do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases. Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
Ain't nobody like my body. That's about the size of it. So I personalize my size with Levi's 501 blues. They shrink to fit. They're the blues that make me feel good. Levi's 501 blues. Love them blues. Oh yeah.
From back roads to Fashion Avenue. Next.
The Wall Street Journal Weekend Memo with William Bruce.
Hi, I'm Larry Myers, host of Motor World, the show that brings you exciting motorcycle racing action. Motor World cameras travel with some of the most talented athletes in the United States to motorcycle racetracks throughout the world. Join us on the next edition of Motor World for the opening round of the 1985 Series in San Diego. Exciting indoor ice racing action from Cleveland and enduro competition from Sumter, South Carolina. Motor World, the most thrilling half hour on television. Don't miss it.
Fashion designers usually operate from bases in Paris, Milan, Tokyo, or New York. Not Carolyn Ann Stevens. Best known by her initials CAS, Cass takes her inspiration from a log cabin studio, Trigo, Montana. 582.
It's very important for me at this point in my development to live in the country where I have the time to be receptive to my own intuitions without any visual pollution from the outside.
She overcomes the disadvantages of distance by hard work, attention to detail, and the use of Trigo's cheap labor supply, local housewives who do piecework at home.
I do the marketing, I do all the graphics, I keep in very close touch with the stores.
She's persistent. That's part of her makeup. She is willing to work with me as a retailer. I give her a lot of input.
It does influence what I do, and I think that I do a better quality of design work when I have some touch with the buyer, some touch with the customer.
Cass's goal is to combine the knowledge she gained studying textiles and ceramics in Japan with the inspiration of her mountains and to create a Cass look.
It's a way of life, it's an attitude. My primary concern is comfort.
For the Wall Street Journal, I'm William Bruce.
Hello again from Madison Square Garden, and we have a 3-2 hockey game going here in charge of the New York Rangers, and really I'm surprised in that late goal with just 4 seconds left. You're an old coach or a former coach. I don't want to call you an old coach. Those late goals really defeat you.
Well, they really do, and Glenn Sonmore, you're right with the old one. Those type of goals make you old and very fast, and cardinal sin, we've said it how many times before, to get scored on against you the last minute of play, but when it happens in the last 5 seconds of play, that really lets you down going into the dressing room. So the North Stars right now have got a big job just getting themselves back up psychologically to go out there for this third period.
And the fact that Nick Fotiu scored the goal, he's a New York born product and very popular here at the Garden, and that brought forth a great cheer from the crowd, and they haven't had many cheers here for the Rangers, and that would give New York a big lift too.
Wow. do they love Nicky Fotiu, and when he can score that goal for them, that just gives them all that much more adrenaline in them. This building can go wild at the best of times, and when Nicky Fotiu, as you say, the hometown boy, scores the goal, then that gives them a real incentive, something that they need going into this third period here at home. Things have not gone well for either of these clubs, but for the Rangers right now, looking for a new start, very important for them that they have a lead for the third period, and now whether or not they can protect it and add to it.
Shots on goal favor Minnesota 30-18 to this point. Glenn Hanlon has been a big part of this game for the Rangers.
Oh, no question about that. He has saved them a number of times, Dan, with some real key saves. I thought for the North Stars that Tony McKegney, who's had some good chances to score, he has scored already, but he has been the best offensive player the North Stars have had, and it's really through one thing, and that is good, solid work, and that is what Glenn Sonmore and Craig Patrick are asking out of both of their teams.
Still a full third period to go, though, Al Troutwig.
Well, that's true, Dan. Of course, the Minnesota North Stars to think that took the last 10 seconds of the first period away and the last 10 seconds of the second period away, they'd be leading this game 2-1. But they played those 10 seconds each time, and they're losing right here 3-2. We'd like to take a moment on USA Tonight to wish happy birthday to the great one, number 99. If you can believe it, for all he's done and for all the things he will do, he's only 24 years old today. What a proud day it was 24 years ago for Phyllis and Walter Gretzky. Happy birthday, number 99. By the way, Wayne, the check is in the mail. So, the Rangers lead the Minnesota North Stars a score of 3-2. At 40 minutes of hockey, the third period is coming up in a moment.
What does it take to transform raw materials into fresh ideas? Imagination. At Quasar, we're obsessed with imagination and what it can bring you.
You know, the business world moves fast. I've found only one publication that keeps with it every business day. Only this, the Wall Street Journal. Not weekly, not bi-weekly, today's business news today. So you can use it today.
Get the next 6 months of the Wall Street Journal delivered for just $56, only 44 cents a day. To order, phone 800-527-9800. That's 6 months over 125 issues for just $56. Phone 800-527-9800 today.
The NHL on USA is sponsored by Honda, who invites you to see the new Civic sedan at your local Honda dealer. We're back live at Madison Square Garden, New York. The Rangers leading Minnesota 3-2. McKegney tied it for Minnesota at 7-11, but Fotiu at 1956 gave the Rangers the lead again. Now the puck cleared down the ice by Minnesota, and as Beck goes back and plays the puck, it's an icing call against the North Stars as we just get the third period underway with Craig Patrick and his Rangers holding a slim 3-2 lead.
Well, against the Minnesota North Stars, even though they have not been scoring at the pace that they are capable of scoring, you'll have to be concerned with only a one-goal lead going into the third period. You have to protect that, but you've got to continue your strong offensive forechecking in order to try and add to it. One-goal lead against North Stars in the past has not been good enough.
Coming up between Fedoruk and Keaton. Now Fedoruk is Toster and Steve Payne. Number 44 for the Knicks will take the draw. On the top, the corner, Minnesota unable to clear it. Here's Fotiu. Right center one. Did, but it knocked away. And comes Keith Acton. Acton shoots it in. Hanlon out of the net to clear it. That failed to clear it. Now Payne center second. Shoot on Hanlon. Just left guard to get a piece back. The North Stars are awarded again, and now penalty coming up on the play against the Rangers. Minnesota will get a power play as Rouse and Portillo have some words after the penalty has been called against New York.
I believe a high sticking call to Portillo. It was difficult to tell, but I think judging what was going on down in front of us, and here, watch Portillo. After Acton runs into him, then Portillo comes back with a high stick and throws Acton to the ice, and it is a high stick call that is being assessed to Nicky Portillo.
So the penalty to Portillo. Meanwhile, North Star General Manager Lou Nanne is in our broadcast booth. You know, Brooks fired earlier this week by the Rangers, and there's been rumors for 2 or 3 years now that the North Stars would eventually try and hire Herb Brooks. Any comments at this time, Lou Nanne?
Well, actually, Dan, has been rumored for 7 years because he was the first fellow I offered the coaching job to when I took over. But Herb's a very good hockey man. Undoubtedly, when it comes around to next season, we're going to very strongly bring him into our organization. But as long as Glenn's happy, we're going to stay Glenn as coach now.
But in the future, somewhere there would be a spot for Herb Brooks, says Lou Nanne.
Yes, there certainly is. We think he's a very fine hockey man, and we're very impressed by him.
Okay, Lou Nanne. Meanwhile, back to the game with the Rangers shorthanded. Puck is held on the board by Erickson. Now knocked loose, and Minnesota on the attack with Baruch circling back. Minnesota trailing 3-2, but on a power play as they dump it in. Beck is there to clear it, and it's shot all the way down the ice. Hartsburg, number 4, back to pick it up. North Stars clearing one over onto right wing, and it's Dennis Baruch. In across the line, upended on the play. Now the Rangers get the puck, and it's shot by Ledyard all the way down the ice. Big chance here for Minnesota, but so far they haven't been able to muster any sustained attack.
Well, first of all, they've got to get into the Rangers zone, and that has not been easy for them tonight. Once they get in, they have to maintain possession in order to get the best scoring opportunity possible.
Here's Broughton dropping one back to Roberts, over to Hartsburg. He centered it back to Broughton, and a stick save by Hanlon on Neil Broughton. They get into the zone that time and had a good scoring chance.
Well, they were doing the right thing, too. Shooting much quicker than they have over the course of the last couple of periods. You've got to try and catch Hanlon, who's having a great game. You've got to catch him napping. That's going to be tough.
Puck is taken by Solheim in the Minnesota zone. Now to Roberts, shot near the Ranger line. Patrick breaks it up and gives it to Beck. And Beck crosses center and cleared it in. Solheim back to the Minnesota goal. Trying to shoot it out of there. Did. The Rangers still shorthanded. Break it up. Sundstrom carrying in for New York. Sundstrom into the corner to Erickson. Erickson tied up. Now in comes Portillo. Portillo centered it and went right through the goal crease. And Steve Payne gets it. Now the North Stars on the attack. Ralph with a shot, and that goes off a stick and up over the glass into the crowd. So the Rangers have killed the penalty off and are back at full strength. Coast-to-coast coverage of the NHL is right here on USA.
From its precision handling, this might appear to be Honda's sports car. From its sophisticated engine and front-wheel drive, you might assume this is Honda's performance car. Its roomy interior might even suggest that this is Honda's family car. But don't let appearances fool you. This is Honda's lowest priced car.
We played 3 minutes of the third period. The penalty to Portillo has expired. And the Rangers still leading this game 3-2. We talked to Lou Nanne, and he came by again during our last commercial break and was a little frustrated. He said, all those goal scorers, and we can't score at all. And they've had the chances. They just haven't been able to beat Hanlon.
Well, they haven't. You hit it right on the nail, Dan. Beating Glenn Hanlon has been tough for them tonight. But mind you, Broughton and Cicerelli especially have not had really good, solid chances that the type that you would expect them to score from. And what I'm meaning is working their way into the slot and getting off those good shots. the Rangers have done a pretty good job at coverage in front of the net. Richmond has saved the day. A couple of Hanlon has been out.
And Hanlon, as we have said a couple of times, is very sharp. Let's get it again. Giles the point. This time shot blocked. Atkins stopped at the defense. And then it's Breshner clearing to center ice. Broken up there. Belichick then lost it. There's a clearing pass ahead to Ruotsalainen, but Melanson out of the net clears it to Kurt Giles. Giles to Sherman. He couldn't get it out of the zone. Here's Pavel at center, and Rogers in front of the net deflected it, but it went straight up in the air. Here's Randy Belichick. Belichick, number 6 for Minnesota. On right wing to Bukestad. Bukestad's long shot. Hanlon turns that aside. Now Pavelec gets the loose puck for the Rangers. Number 16. Passing to Ruotsalainen. He's checked in the play. Shot from well out by Sherman, handled by Hanlon, and the Rangers start out of there, and it's cleared all the way down the ice by Bob Brook. Going back to get it is Baruch for Minnesota. Into the center ice area, to Fleck, knocked away by the Rangers' Randy Heath, and now away comes Baruch to Fleck. Back to Baruch into McKechnie. Big save by Hanlon. On McKechnie, you walked in. That's what Lou Nanny and Gary Green talked about, the chances, but big goaltender. Now the Rangers come back, and a shot kicked that by Melanson. And then he smothered it as LaRouche moved in on right wing. But what a chance moments ago by that man, Tony McKechnie.
Well, once again, I'm going to give McKechnie a lot of credit here. It was because of hard work. He got himself into a situation. He's very alert. You notice that McKechnie found an opening out there. He got himself into position to be able to receive the pass, but he just could not connect. Meanwhile, the Rangers came right back.
Not nearly as dangerous a chance, but Melanson seemed to misplay it a little bit.
Well, he was quick enough, though, to get out and jump on that puck with his glove, covering up on the rebounds.
Face-off in the Minnesota zone, won by Snips. Throwing it up to Cicerelli. Got the center, held in. Here's Heath on goal. And a glove save right along the ice by Melanson, as Heath went to his backhand and tried to stump it in. The Rangers come in again. And that shot wide of the net, but as it bounced near the side, was grabbed by Melanson. And the former Islander goaltender, moments ago particularly, with a big save on the Ranger rookie, Randy Heath.
Watch how he had stolen the puck. Now he's in all alone. He's got good skills, but Greg Patrick says he's had a tough time putting the puck in the net. And here is a perfect example. You can see how Melanson was out at the end of his crease, but with that reach, leaned back with his glove and was able to just get a piece of that puck off of Heath's stick.
And then it went off his glove and off the goalpost. Here's Snips trying to shoot it up. Breshner held it in. Snips again gets the puck, but it had been hit ahead to him with a hand pass. And they get a stoppage in play. Well, Nick Fotiu scored that goal late in the second period. He's a New York product. And it gives the Rangers a 3-2 lead. Steve Patrick and Dr. Norman Scott, one of the Ranger physicians, watching the action here at Madison Square Garden.
I think when you bring up Fotiu's name, Dan, the fact remains out there. Craig Patrick's going to give lots of ice time to those players that give him what he's asked for, and that's effort. Fotiu doesn't usually receive the amount of ice time that he has got tonight in the game so far, but he has worked hard and has been a real leader for the Rangers out there tonight, especially working in the corners, and he's scored a very big goal.
Face-off, won by New York. Here's James Patrick at the point. Good save there by Melanson. The rebound. Minnesota having difficulty clearing it. Held in by Breshner. Bounces near the net. Now Minnesota try and clear it. Fotiu held it in, and Belichick has it for Minnesota. Randy Belichick, number 6, clearing one outside the line. Hedberg shot it back in, and that's offside at the Minnesota blue line. Right on through the Stanley Cup Finals, it's the NHL on USA.
Imagine the swirling power of a tornado in a full-size Chevy truck. The new Vortec V6 The most powerful standard engine you can get in a half-ton pickup. Vortex swirl-port induction helps create 155 horsepower that rivals a V8. Vortex storms ahead of conventional engine design. New Vortex V6. The power of a tornado in a full-size Chevy truck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
3-2, the Rangers lead. Gary Green, I was quite surprised that Lou Nanne was as candid in his answer about Herb Brooks as he was when we had him on briefly.
Didn't beat around the bush, did he?
He said he's a good hockey man and we'd love to have him with us somewhere. Here's Portillo for the Rangers. Centered it, went right through the goal crease. And now back comes Heath, number 26. Heath moving it in, drops it to Payne, and a stick save by Hanlon on Steve Payne. The Rangers shoot at the center. Giles has it there, trying to clear it in. Now it's Sherman for Minnesota. He couldn't control it. Kurt Giles gets it. Giles still with the puck. Shoots it in behind the goal. And it's taken by Patrick. Patrick trying to clear it. Belichick held it in. Belichick, a good play at the point to move it into Payne in the left wing corner. He centered it. It was behind Sherman. And comes back to center ice. Portillo had it for the moment. He's checked. Now Acton and Sherman try to move it in on right wing. Can't and Portillo. Each at the center ice. There's Sundstrom with a shot, and Melanson a stick save on Sundstrom's low shot. Still a 3-2 Ranger lead. Minnesota clearing it. It was knocked down by a high stick by number 23 of the Rangers, Chris Contos. And that stops play.
You know, it's an interesting thing, Dan, and we've talked about it many times before. Craig Patrick's the first to say that Herb Brooks is an excellent coach, but changes had to be made, and the changes were made in order to try and spark this Rangers team. Now, right now, the Rangers, you see, as Melanson turning away a shot, are trying to get their intensity level up. You heard Pierre LaRouche say as well that Herb Brooks was a good coach. He is a good, solid coach, and he will appear, I am sure, back in the NHL, but it's much easier to fire one coach than it is 20 hockey players.
He threw that in 1980 with maybe one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen.
Well, that was a miracle on ice, no doubt about it, and that's what it was tagged, but things just did not go the same way here. The Rangers got started off, and going back to October this year, the Rangers just got off on the wrong foot. Serious injuries to their team, and boy, that puts you behind the 8 ball right away.
Here are the Rangers with a pass up the middle. Sundstrom couldn't get it, and Melanson setting it up for Rouse. Got around on the boards. Erickson is checked, and now back comes Dennis Baruch to center ice. Baruch to McKegney. Into the rookie Rouse. The flat shoots. He shot it wide with a blistering wrist shot. Now Contos feeding it ahead to Erickson, and Erickson is checked, and Roberts cleared the puck, but not out. Sundstrom held it in. The Rangers still trying to hold it in there. Dew at center, and the puck bounced over Chris Contos' stick, and Minnesota is able to clear it. Back comes Flett to McKegney. Tony McKegney leaving it there for Hartsburg. Brett Hartsburg moving in, and lost the puck as he did a spin around move. Got Flett into the corner. The North Stars drop it to Hartsburg. Hartsburg shooting, and he shot that low drive just wide. Here's McKegney trying to stuff it in. Hanlon the save. And a big pile up, and Hanlon has the puck underneath and throws it off to the side. But the North Stars come very close again.
Frustration for the North Stars, and especially for Tony McKegney, who has had a number of good scoring opportunities in tonight's game, and here goes another one. Watch McKegney as he hustles in, tries to cut loose, doesn't get good wood, but look at that puck. It goes underneath of Hanlon. Then another player got a shot on net, actually, and Hanlon saved that. I am not sure, Dan, which North Star player that was.
Meanwhile, I hadn't even seen it until we saw the replay, but a very close call on the rebound. Here's a shot by Cicerelli, and Hanlon to his knees to stop that. Now Cicerelli holding it in again. He's checked. And Rogers gets it for the Rangers to Ledyard, who shot at the center. Now Ledyard has it again. Ledyard to Rogers. It comes to the Minnesota line. Back goes Cicerelli, now to Broughton. Broughton into Cicerelli to Bukestad, back to Cicerelli. Hanlon the save, and he smothered the rebound, but Neil Broughton there to try and broken in. Another big save for Hanlon. For our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching USA.
Hockey fans from coast to coast, you can obtain the commemorative poster honoring the retirement of one of the NHL's true greats, Philadelphia's Bobby Clark, by sending along check or money order for $4.50 for each poster desired to Philadelphia Flyers, Post Office Box CS 1048, Morristown, New Jersey. Last time offer, so don't miss out.
Radio 1990 showcases the new home video released by one of today's most provocative musical stars, Madonna, at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on USA tomorrow.
Other games tonight in the third period. Buffalo with a 3-2 lead on Quebec. Second period at Chicago. The Hawks won, the Toronto Maple Leafs won. Here it's 3-2, the Rangers leading Minnesota. Here's Cicerelli from the faceoff. That shot handled by Hanlon. And now Heath for Minnesota cleared it, or for the Rangers cleared it to center. Back is Giles. His pass to Cicerelli, now to Broughton, number 7. Broughton with a high slap shot off the glass. Heath, the Ranger rookie, cleared it to center ice. And moving in on right wing, Blaisdell, upended by Shervin. Giles is there to get the puck. Good play by Giles, and then he cleared it to center, but Gressner intercepts over to Patrick. Patrick giving it to Blaisdell, back to James Patrick. Now ahead to Gressner. He's checked, and Keith Acton flips it ahead to Steve Payne. Payne with a drop pass, but no Minnesota player was there in Blaisdell. Just shoots it down into the Minnesota zone. Hartsburg back for Minnesota. Cleared to Roberts, and the North Stars move out. Payne with a pass to Shervin that hopped over his stick. Now Patorek clearing it. Shervin intercepts that. Beck is there to clear it for the Rangers to Hedberg. Now to Brook, who shoots it down the ice. But the play is called back on a 2-line offside. As you look at the man who gave the Rangers the lead with just 4 seconds left in the second period, Nick Fotiu.
I don't think there's any question about the fact that the North Stars could well be ahead by a couple of goals by the scoring opportunities that they have had in this third period alone. Now is not the time for them, though, to quit shooting. They have to bear down. They have to be a little bit more aggressive in looking for those rebounds, but yet Glenn Hanlon hasn't given up too many of them, and boy, he has been sharp.
Shots are almost 2-1. 42 for Minnesota, 22 for the Rangers. But the Rangers lead 3-2. Here's Hedberg for New York. Trying to clear it. Center down in front here is Payne, a backhander block. And then Shervin poked the rebound wide. Again, it's Payne shooting. Another save by Hanlon. And Fotiu gets the loose puck. Nick Fotiu with the Rangers in trouble again, clearing it to Hedberg. And he's able to clear it to center ice.
Give the Rangers credit, though. In front of Hanlon, they are forming almost a box. They're making it difficult for the North Stars to get in there and take a crack at any rebounds that are loose.
Here's Fotiu to Sundstrom at center ice. A good move there, but now Minnesota get it in Belichick. Number 6 starting back. Couldn't get around Steve Richmond. Richmond tied up by McKechnie. Richmond breaks loose. Richmond centered, and Giles split across to break up that 2-on-1 possibility and smothered the puck as he just lay on top of it. Good defensive play there by the man that Glenn Sonmore says has been his best defenseman all year, Kurt Giles.
Well, Giles did an excellent job coming back. This game is authorized under television rights granted by the National Hockey League. And we'll get on to that in just a second, but watch this play by Richmond. McKechnie's coming back. He's trying to get some stick on it, but Richmond really out-muscled and just broke away from McKechnie. And Dan, we will have to leave the disclaimer for a little bit later, and I know that will disappoint viewers greatly.
You really think so?
No, I don't think so at all.
9:25 left in the third period. 3-2, the Rangers leading. Face-off won by Erickson, but Kurt Giles gets it for the North Stars. To Willie Platt. Minnesota with a 3-on-2 break. Platt into McKechnie to Maruk off Hanlon's shoulder. And over the glass into the crowd, and another good save by Glenn Hanlon. That time just getting his right shoulder on it.
Well, now the question for the North Stars is, when and how are they going to beat Glenn Hanlon? We had mentioned continue shooting. That is 1 point to strength, and here, that's exactly what they do, and from a good angle of shot as well, with a screen set up, but Hanlon was able to just get a piece of it.
Hanlon has been brilliant here tonight. The Rangers lead 3-2. Face-off to the right of the New York goal. On the face-off, puck taken by Contos. He couldn't clear it out. Now held in by Roberts. Over to Hartsburg. A shot just wide as Hartsburg got away. A quick shot. Now New York to center ice, but broken up by Roberts, who beats it ahead to Broughton. Broughton checks. Cicerelli picks it up, shoots. Hanlon the save. Didn't know where the rebound was, but Steve Payne couldn't get a stick on it, and Ledyard has it for New York. He fires it down the ice. And going back to Hartsburg. And as he touches it, an icing call against the Rangers. The score here with 8:35 to play. The Rangers leading Minnesota 3-2.
The Honda Civic four-door sedan has clean lines and a handsome profile. A very spacious interior. A long list of standard equipment and advanced engineering. In fact, the Civic four-door offers so much, it makes the search for the perfect family sedan seem like child's play.
Well, the Rangers called a timeout here to try and reorganize, and Mr. Green has an opportunity.
This game is authorized under television rights granted by the National Hockey League, presented solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, and other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited.
I think that's a good call of a timeout by Craig Patrick. His team has been under extreme pressure. We have 8:35 still to play. But I agree with calling that timeout when you need it, not necessarily waiting until the last minute of the game like many coaches do.
I agree totally. I think you hit it beautifully, Dan, the fact that the Rangers have been under pressure. The North Stars have been shooting, so the point that was probably made by Patrick was continue to defend in front of Hanlon, give him the first shot, make sure you take the second shots away, just throw them in the corner. The Rangers have been doing that, and they've been doing it well. It hasn't been fancy by any means. They've just been shoveling that puck out in the neutral ice area or back into the corners, but they have been clearing it.
Here's Patrick for New York, around in the boards to Gressner. Gressner for the Rangers got it to center. That's knocked away, and back in came Payne, but New York cleared out, and Gressner carries up ice. Number 4, Ron Gressner, poke check. And Shervin had it. He failed to clear it, but Giles following up gets it for Minnesota. Kurt Giles dumping it in. Loose puck near the goal. Minnesota holding it in. Giles at the point. Shot it on the boards, and Pavlich gets it to Mike Rogers. Rogers away over onto the other wing to Ruotsalainen, back to Pavlich. Now to Rogers, a shot and a glove save by Melanson. After a pretty three-way passing play by New York.
I don't doubt that Craig Patrick also said to his players during that timeout, let's play in their end zone for a while, take the heat off of Hanlon. Let's get our forechecking game back intact.
You see the shots on goal. Minnesota 45, the Rangers 23. That's how busy and brilliant Glenn Hanlon has been in this game, the Ranger goaltender. We're down now to 7:46 to play. On a face-off into the corner, Gord Roberts for Minnesota. Roberts failed to clear it. The Rangers center came to Blaisdell. He couldn't get a stick on it. Now Heath trying to center it out. But Minnesota break it up and shoot it to center. The rookie Heath, number 26, has it again. Dropping it back, and it's shot in. Melanson handling that. Cleared it away from Heath, and Willie Putt goes back for the North Stars. And drops it back to Hartsburg. Hartsburg over on the wing to Roberts. Roberts to McKegney at center, who shoots it in. Hanlon behind the net, leaving it for Barry Beck. Beck trying to clear it, and he cleared it off of the Minnesota stick up over the glass into the crowd. And let's see where they'll rule the faceoff will be.
As you take a look at Barry Beck out here, I think one thing, Dan, that is pretty much felt across the league is that Barry Beck has such tremendous skills and abilities, but consistently, if he could only play more aggressively in his own end zone particularly, he could really lead his team and lead it much better. One or two big checks from Barry Beck, especially early in the game in the Rangers end zone, could frighten off a lot of forecheckers.
And you'll see him do that some night and play a particularly physical game, and he is almost awesome out there, but he doesn't do it consistently.
Well, great players are consistent. I think that is what it stems right down to.
Now 7:04 to play in the third period. The Rangers still leading 3-2. It's Broughton with Payne and Cicerelli, a big scoring. Well, actually, Bukestad's out in the other wing now. With Cicerelli and Broughton. A lead pass all the way down into the Minnesota zone. Out of the goal, Melanson in there to forecheck on the goaltender is Hedberg. You don't see that very often. So the player forechecking the goaltender. Here's Portillo. Back to the goal, trying to center. Portillo races over onto the other wing to get it. Back to the point to Richmond. A shot blocked, and Sherman has it for Minnesota. To Bukestad. Bukestad failed to clear it. Bukestad still battling. Now Hedberg into the corner. Gets it to Portillo. Portillo can't center it. Still has it. Drops it to the point and drives. Melanson a save. Portillo the rebound, and Melanson stop that. As Portillo had a great rebound chance. For our local systems, we'll pause here. It's the NHL on USA.
You know, the business world moves fast. I've found only one publication keeps pace with it every business day. Only this, the Wall Street Journal. Not weekly, not bi-weekly, today's business news today. So you can use it today.
Get the next 6 months of the Wall Street Journal delivered for just $56, only 44 cents a day. To order, phone 800-527-9800. That's 6 months over 125 issues for just $56. Phone 800-527-9800 today.
3-2, the Rangers lead. If it winds up this way, Ranger goaltender Glenn Hanlon would be a leading candidate for the mobile player of the game. He's been sensational.
He really has. Still 6 minutes, 13 seconds remaining. North Stars still have got plenty of time.
Plenty of time. Minnesota trying to move it out of there. Hartsburg to Steve Payne at center. He shoots it in for action. Hanlon out of the net to clear it. Knocked down by Payne. In behind the goal, Sherman unable to center it as he's too well checked by Contos. Now it comes in front for Payne. Dropping it back to Roberts, fakes the shot. Now trying to center it. Comes again to Payne. Another big save by Hanlon. And the Rangers clear it out of there. Going back is Roberts, number 10 for the North Stars. The North Stars have played really well here tonight, but they trail. And that has to be frustrating. And there's the guy that's frustrated, and Glenn Hanlon clearing one. Hartsburg at the point. Hanlon a stick save. Held in by Roberts and shot back to the goal. Bob Brook is there for the Rangers. Shot it out on the boards. Hartsburg couldn't hold it in, and here's Sundstrom. But Hartsburg tied him up from behind. The Rangers get it again. Lead pass too far for Contos. And Roberts, with 5 minutes left, has it for Minnesota. Over to Maruk, number 9. Maruk dropping it back for Roberts. Roberts crosses center, shoots it in. Digging in on the boards, here's Rogers for the Rangers, number 17. Mike Rogers, long shot. Melanson the save, the rebound. Cleared away just in the nick of time by Belichick. Now Ruth Selena for New York. Checked by Kurt Giles. And Giles up the middle to McKechnie, who now beats Platt. Number 24, Willie Platt. Richmond bumps in. Platt still with the puck. Dropped it back, but it comes out of the zone, and Belichick has to drop it back. Here comes Giles for Minnesota. Over to Maruk. His shot blocked by Pavelich, and the Rangers start back. To Blaisdell. Blaisdell trying to go around Roberts. Senator Giles is there to just poke it away. And here's Dennis Maruk right back for Minnesota. Into McKechnie. Centered out in front, and Knocked away by the Rangers. Blaisdell cleared it down the ice.
Well, I think that was a pretty good example. McKegney threw it out in front of the net, but there were 4 Rangers there to protect.
Live NHL coverage from coast to coast is only on USA Sports.
A Honda Civic wagon has such nice features. It's very clever. Smart about money. It's always there when you need it and can keep your secrets. It's very neat. Even cleans up after itself. And it looks, well, it has a great personality.
Rayo Ruotsalainen was injured, I believe, on a slash by Melanson on that last Ranger rush up the ice. Now Bukestad centered for Minnesota. Cleared at the last second by the Rangers. Now held in as Broughton gets the puck loose. Neil Broughton can't hold it, and here's Hedberg breaking away to Patorek, who's in the clear. And Melanson came diving up to poke it away for Minnesota. And right back comes Scott Bukestad, leaving it for Broughton to Ciccarelli. In front of the net, Ciccarelli fell as he went to shoot, and his shot never got to the net. Now Patrick for the Rangers, moving it up to Hedberg, to Patorek. Patorek is checked in Minnesota, clear it back to center. Here's Big Barry Beck for the Rangers, moving in, but offside was the play at the Minnesota blue line. Meanwhile, a diving poke check moments ago by Rolly Melanson on Robbie Patorek.
The North Stars and Rolly Melanson have done all that they were supposed to do in their own end zone, especially with Melanson. You can see the disgusted look of Robbie Patorek after he had been poke checked by Melanson.
Melanson does this really well as he times these rushes out of the net, I guess, to when he sees the player put his head down.
Well, it was also, Dan, an excellent play by Hedberg, who fed Patorek. Watch Melanson. Just a great poke check there on Patorek. Really saved the day for the North Stars. They're still in it.
Minnesota's Acton dumping it in. Hanlon back to the goal. Flipping one. Knocked down by Sherman, and Hanlon had to dive back and cover up. Gord Sherman, the newcomer, just playing in his second game since coming in a trade from Edmonton, and he could have been a real hero there.
You can see Hanlon here got caught not only behind his net and in a dangerous position, but he went to use the backhand to get it around the boards. He did not look. Sherman was standing right there, knocked it down, and almost had himself an open net.
2:35 left in the third period. The Rangers 3, Minnesota 2. Despite the fact that Minnesota has outshot New York to this point 47-27. Face-off coming up deep in the Ranger zone. Chris Kontos will be tossed out of the face-off. And Keith Acton will take the draw against Sundstrom for the Rangers. The Rangers get it, and Beck winds it around on right wing, held in by Belichick. Now the puck centered to Payne, a shot off of Hanlon's shoulder and over the glass into the crowd. And another close call for Minnesota. Let's go right here to Al Trotwig in our USA studio.
Dan, we're looking right there at Glenn Hanlon, who's only won 3 of his last 15 games. If he were able to win tonight, it would really be a shot of encouragement for him, and we're looking at him as a prime candidate for the mobile player of the game. In addition to that, Nick Fotiu, who scored a rare goal but an important goal for the Rangers, and Tony McKegney, who has really worked overtime for the Minnesota North Stars. But still, it's a close one. Back to you and Garrett.
2:24 to play. Face off. Acton back to Belichick. Into the corner to Keith Acton out in front. And Hanlon pokes that shot away from Sherman into the corner. The Rangers now start to work out. And Pavelich feeds it to Rogers. Into Pavelich. He's checked in. The North Stars come back with Sherman feeding Acton. Keith Acton trying to center one. It comes to Sherman. Sherman shoots, and that's deflected wide. Sherman centered to Acton. He just missed tipping that in. And Ledger has it for New York. Shot at the center. Well, North Stars with 1:45 left. have control of their own zone. Giles feeding it up ice, and Marouk flips it in for Willie Flett. Flett goes barging in, but Ledyard poked it away, and Blaisdell is able to shoot it out of there for New York. Hartsburg going back to get it, and as he touches it, it's an icing call against the Rangers, and we're down to 1:25 remaining in regulation time.
One thing the Rangers would like to avoid right now, and that is giving up those important face-offs back in their own zone. They don't want to ice that puck unless they absolutely have to. You can see young Randy Heath, number 26 for the Rangers. Not very big, 5'8", 160 pounds, but very skillful player. Plays the body.
And Pierre LaRouche and Steve Richmond talk over the face-off strategy, as the face-off will be deep in the Ranger zone. There you see Melanson about halfway to the blue line. The North Stars get it. Here's a drive by Robertson. Hamlin another save. It's his 50th save of the night. Robertson shot wide of the goal. Now Flett centered it. Cleared away by Ledyard. Ledyard shot it on the boards. Blaisdell can't get it up. Neither can LaRouche. Here's Willie Flett. A shot. That's up high. Now McKegney from back of the net centered it. Ledyard blocks that. A minute left. Back to Hartsburg. The save by Hamlin again. And he has been fantastic. And the Rangers try and clear it out and get up to the line, but held in by Minnesota. But then it's knocked up over the boards. Meanwhile, Melanson is still on the ice, and we're down to 48 seconds left. And more goaltending magic from Glenn Hanlon.
True to form so far. If Glenn Hanlon can finish off with his 48 seconds remaining in his game, you could say that Hanlon has played 60 good, solid minutes of hockey. I thought Flett on that last shift for the North Stars was a big reason why Minnesota was able to keep the puck in the Rangers' end zone.
You'd only say a good, solid performance if Hanlon holds out for another 48 seconds. I'd say a rather spectacular performance. The North Stars have called a timeout, and we'll get a face-off with 48 seconds remaining just outside the Ranger blue line.
I'll go back to what I said before about the North Stars and their scoring abilities. You look at Acton, Broughton, Marouk, and Cicerelli especially, those four forwards. They score the majority of their goals in very close on rebounds. They're good, they're quick, they're small in around the net. And I think, Dan, in assessing this play so far tonight, the Rangers, no question, sensational goaltending by Glenn Hanlon. But I think that as a team, they have played well in their own end zone, and coming back and defending the net.
Here are the Rangers. Clearing one ahead for Anders Hedberg, who gets it into the Minnesota zone. And Hartsburg takes over there. Hartsburg moving up ice. There goes the goaltender to the bench as McKegney carries it in. Minnesota dumping in. McKegney centered. But Patorek is there. And he clears it down into the Minnesota zone with 23 seconds left. Minnesota with 6 attackers. Hartsburg carries in. Brett Hartsburg moving in. A shot. Hanlon kicks that up. His 52nd save of the game. A jam up on the boards, and Minnesota with 8 seconds left will get another face-off in the Ranger end of the ring.
Well, Big Barry Beck will most likely stay out there. The North Stars, you can see them challenging constantly. They're trying to work their way in close to get a better chance at putting that puck by Hanlon. You can see the